Jessica. Thank you for reporting. All right, well, welcome to the April meeting of the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. We have a couple of things, just shows you how important and critical every member of the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council team is. Carrie is on vacation this week, and we're all everyone's this group here is filling in the gaps, and there's just a few things. It's been a hugely busy week with the assessors training and all of that, so we maybe just be picking up a few little loose ends as we go through the meeting. So with that, we don't have agendas in the back. Apologize for that. Hopefully all board members were able to get theirs in their packet. So with that, let us stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I always want to say an amen.
Right, as always, the reminder, if you're a board member, to sign in. Jessica has the sign-in sheets today, I believe, and if you're online, she's tracking that for you. Our first order of business, item number 4, consent calendar. Board action item, we have the meeting agenda for today's meeting, as well as the board meeting minutes, the March 18th meeting. Any comments, questions, edits on either of the agenda items, consent calendar? All right, hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Consent calendar approved as presented. Item 5, new business. We have a full set of discussions under new business, and we haven't had any new business or old business for the last several months, but I warned you some was coming, and we definitely brought you some. So there was a lot in the board packet this month, and I know it came out in a couple of waves because we're trying to get you as current as information on the budget and the treasurer's report as we can, so that it's not 2 months in arrears. But in doing so, it just puts Janet right up against the mark with getting invoices paid, processed, and into the treasurer's report. So we don't quite meet the cutoff to get it out in the original packet. So again, that's why you're getting that separately. But in particular, item 5A, El Dorado Ready campaign endorsement support board action item, that we talked about this. We had a brown bag on it last month, and we wanted to make sure that all of the relevant information was part of the board packet information. So all of the directors should have received that as part of the email out. So with that, it is a board action item to discuss both endorsement and subsequent support. It's separate discussion items. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul Hemp, who will lead the discussion on what this is.
Okay. Let me see. If I can't see it up here. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about the sales tax initiative for El Dorado Ready, and we'll address a number of the issues. The intent here is to ensure that the Fire Safe Council has a full understanding of what it means, what the initiative is all about and what it isn't about, and excuse me, and to make a decision as an organization on whether we want to endorse this. So we'll go through a presentation, then we have some brief discussion along the way, but we have a section just before we ask for your consent or not for a fuller discussion. But if you want, more of an in-depth, explanation on certain things, feel free. But for the major interaction, it'll be before we ask you to take action. So next slide, please. So we're going to talk about a quick review of the initiative. We want to really talk about the upsides and downsides, what it means to us, and say, do we want to endorse or not? And then if we endorse, what actions or what ways can we support the effort? We'll try to have a full, interaction discussion, and then we'll take a vote or two and move on, okay? Always like to go over what our mission is, just to ensure, that it is consistent with what we do. So I'm actually gonna read it, I hate to read off slides, but our mission is to protect the people of El Dorado County and their property from the effects of catastrophic wildfires, through education, cooperation, innovation, and action. So that just kind of puts things in context. And then I'm gonna, wanna put myself in context because one of the few things I got out of graduate school is when I was writing my thesis, they required you to state your biases before you start going ahead, so that people understand. Throughout my life after that, I have to say, what am I biased? All right, so I want to be very explicit. I am what is considered a reluctant supporter. I went through, I wrote a piece about this El Dorado Ready, and I put it through AI, and AI schooled me, and said, it appears you're a reluctant supporter. Because I don't like sales taxes, and I get my health care outside the county. But still, I support this. I'm actually on the cabinet, working with Marshall Medical, and so my unindicted co-conspirators here, Mr. Charlie Downs, Chief Cordero, in moving and working toward, making this happen. So again, I just want to state my biases, as we move forward. So it is essentially a 3/8 cent sales tax, that would go toward Marshall Medical, primarily for its infrastructure improvements. It will be going to local fire departments, and a component is there for wildfire protection. Okay. Next. So why are we doing this now? And the reason is, back in go to the Wayback Machine here. In 1972, you had an earthquake in Silmar, and it actually impacted a hospital. It was a VA hospital back then. And you had the Northridge earthquake, and where there were damages to hospitals. And a member of the legislature, Al Alquist, and if you're up on seismic prevention, there are maps in California called the Alquist Criolla maps, named after him and another legislature in the different parts of the state and how seismically active they are. I can tell you that I was working for the Governor's Office of Emergency Services in 1989, and I can tell you one of the most chilling moments of my life is after the Loma Prieta earthquake. I pulled up to one of the hospitals in Watsonville, either Dominican or Watsonville community, and as I pulled into the parking lot, the liquid oxygen tank was like this. Now, liquid oxygen, when it gets out of its container, is nasty stuff. Right, and because I'm a hazmat guy, it really sent chills up my spine. But this legislation required hospitals to retrofit their facilities to be able to withstand earthquakes. They talk about the 96-hour rule and all sorts of details like that. But I know you're shocked that they push this back and back and back and back, and they kick the can down the road. And now there's no more kicking the can down the road. So it is necessary for these hospitals, and it doesn't matter how seismically vulnerable you are, that the requirements here in Placerville and El Dorado County are the same as you're sitting on top of the San Andreas Fault. So part of my professional work, I worked in healthcare doing disaster management. And I remember back 20, 30 years ago, they were talking about the different ways that you could do retrofit. And they were talking about using carbon fibers to do the structural supports and things like that. Just crazy stuff. But this is a hard deadline, and it's right around the road. Yes, Elizabeth.
So for the hard deadline, what's that mean for the hospital? If they don't get this work done, do they have to shut down?
That's the threat.
Oh.
Oh. We'll see. I can't see Harborview or UCLA shutting down myself, but we'll see. So locally, Marshall has already done around $70 million worth of upgrades. Most of the stuff you don't see. You know, it's all internal, and it's very expensive. One of the things that adds to it, it's not talking about just new construction, because that's originally what it was. But now they have to go back and ensure that existing structures can still function, but you still have a hospital. So it's tough. So what they're looking for is the long-term financing.
Just a quick clarification for hospitals that were constructed after 1970, do they already meet those upgrade requirements or not?
I think they've changed the requirements along the way. I don't know, is Maya on?
She's nodding her head, yes.
Yeah, so, Maya Schneider, who, works for Marshall Medical, is spearheading this, is here, and she is indicating that yes, they have to, comply. And, I believe they changed the requirements along the way. It's kind of like, you know, the shifting goalposts. So what they're looking for is a way that they can do this now, but the way you do it is you, get long-term bonds. Way that the institutions will lend that money to you is if you have a guaranteed source of income, and that's what they're trying to leverage this into so they can do the work now. Now, they're also looking at doing other infrastructure improvements. So the vast majority of this is for seismic retrofit. Moving right along. 1906, San Francisco. So as we say that community health and well-being is linked inexorably to fire and EMS. That the ability of the fire service, who provides most of the emergency medical, the pre-hospital care in this county, is through fire, and we are all we're hurt. Chief Cordero and I were talking earlier about most people don't see the changes of budget restraints. You're having 2 people on an engine instead of 3 or 4, which would provide an adequate workforce for fire. That the response time may go from 4 minutes to 6 minutes, and every minute you delay, the quality of medical care hits. They talked about the golden hour, or more of the platinum half hour in emergency medical. I've been running EMS agencies in the past, and the funding sources seem to get whittled away. And now, as we look toward aligning our responsibilities, you asked, would the hospitals have to shut down? Let us say an unlikely scenario is Marshall shuts down. Where is our closest definitive medical care? It's in Folsom. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So one of the things is there was a feeling, and I shared this feeling, is that why are the fire departments and wildland and wildfire protection kind of loaded onto this? It's really a Marshall event. And I had a long discussion with Maya and said that their board looked at Paradise. And they said, we are in a very similar situation. And so that it's not just adding this as kind of a cover to get the initiative passed. It's more because they said, in order to protect our facility, we need to protect the communities. And the best way we can protect our communities is from our greatest hazard, which is wildland fire. And so that there is a true integration of the needs of the community by this effort. Next slide. So, okay.
What is the revenue breakdown between Marshall, the fire departments, and the fire city council?
I have a slide here, and I think it was in the FAQs that went out. But
We can,
We'll get there.
maybe what we'll do is we'll hold on to that thought, because that's a critical piece, Ken, but we'll wait till he maybe gets through and circle
or
back.
maybe Maya can put it in the chat. Good.
This initiative, it seems like we're minutes left in the game on this,
Mhm.
given that this started in 72. Why so long? Has it taken this long to get this initiative in place? Because costs have spiraled upwards crazily.
I think it was a collective act, collective kicking the can down the road and to go, because the hospital didn't want to do this. And this is not just us. This, we're talking about, you know, they've already put $70 million into it. These other hospitals, have put hundreds of $1 millions into this. And they're trying to get some relief, and I think, they ran out of excuses or the ability to.
Paul, Maya's got her hand up, she didn't comment.
Sure.
Thank you and good morning, everybody. Maya Schneider with Marshall. Just a few quick responses to those. First, Marshall has not been kicking the can down the road. The state has been. There have been several extensions to this legislation. As Paul said, the hard deadline now is 2030. In response to this mandate, Marshall built the South Wing, which houses most of our critical services, but not our inpatient, with the exception of ICU and women and family. Paul mentioned $70 million. That's the minimum investment that we've made so far in meeting this mandate. As extensions were added on to this legislation, new requirements came into play. Marshall has met the 2020 safe and standing requirement, which states our hospital cannot fall down on our patients and our staff, and we've met that. The 2030 is what Paul was referring to as the 96 hours. So we have to have 3 days of operations available to us in the event of a major seismic occurrence. So we have to have 3 days of food, water, fuel, energy, backup energy. We have to have 3 days of oxygen and gases and medications. And we also have to do some additional infrastructure that isn't structural. It is based on our utilities routing that we need to do to meet the newest requirement, which is 2030. So we've been making and meeting the milestones that HCI has laid out, the Healthcare Access and Information Office of the state of California. We are meeting those milestones. The challenge for us is during the pandemic and since the pandemic, finances for all hospitals, not just Marshall, all hospitals have taken a steep nosedive. And part of that is that supplies, including pharmaceutical supplies, have skyrocketed since the pandemic and they have not come back down. The cost of labor has also gone up, and that's in part due to a state mandate requiring a minimum wage for California hospitals, again, unfunded. And all of these things add up to increasing expenses and compression while we continue to lose money on 75% of our patients who are government pay, and we get paid a fraction of what it actually costs us to deliver that service. Now, Marshall has a strategic plan to pull us out of that cycle. And that means investing in more ambulatory care services. And there's a long history of healthcare finance that would take us days to get into, so I won't go there. But Marshall does have a significant strategic direction. We've been firing on that with our newest clinic in El Dorado Hills, and it's already showing that this strategy can work. But in order to maintain our operations, we have to preserve our operational revenue. And putting $40-50 million into seismic repair at this point that gets us no new patient services, does nothing to improve the care for our patients, is a bad business decision. But it would be the only option we would have left to keep our doors open.
Thanks, Mike. And Chief Cordero, just from the fire department perspective, just add some context if you would.
Absolutely, thank you. Tim Cordero, the Fire Chief for El Dorado County Fire, and I guess I should start and state my bias. And my bias is that I joined the fire service in El Dorado County in 1987. I've been here ever since, and so I'm very biased to the fire department and the service that we provide to our communities, for a handful of years now. But I think I was originally gonna speak to some of the needs of the fire service and how this would benefit us, but, the one thing that's kind of triggered and changed my thought a little bit is the question the gentleman asked about, that kind of why now? And I'm with you. When this, we're kind of aware of this, but it's not really, the hospital side of it isn't really the fire department realm. So we're kind of aware of it, not really, then like, boom, this thing hit me. Well, yeah, why are they waiting until now? So I totally get that point, but then there's from the fire and EMS perspective. Currently, right now, on the west slope of Elrod County, there's 8 ambulances that are operated at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. June 1st, we're adding another unit, which would be 9 units on the west slope. And that unit is being added because of the increased call volume and the delay in our response times when we get down on units. One of the things that as a chief officer I get in this county is when we hit level 0 on our ambulances, all the chief officers get notifications. Level 0 means there are no ambulances, 0 ambulances available on the west slope. So whether you're in El Dorado Hills or you're in Kivers, if you call 911 when we're level 0, there's no ambulances. That doesn't happen all the time, but it happens, a couple times a week. But if you peel off of that and go like, well, hey, we're at level 2 or 3, so we're not getting the notification over 0, we're at level 2 or 3. That means there's 2 or 3 ambulances available. Again, think about where you live, think about where those ambulances are, think about the response time to get there. And where I want to circle that back to, most of our patients that we transport via ambulance go to Marshall Hospital. If you're on the north side of the county, out in the cool Pilot Hill area, Georgetown, sometimes they go to Auburn. County Park, Elrod Hills, they'll go down to Folsom. The majority of the county goes to Marshall. One of the challenges our ambulances hit when they go down to Sacramento and Folsom is those hospitals are impacted with what we call wall time. And wall time really is what it is. The medic unit pulls in, they got the patient on the gurney, whether it's a stubbed toe or a heart attack, and the ER says we don't have a bed.
Yeah.
You guys stay here with your patient until we get a bed available. So the ambulance can sit there, the paramedics still have to retain care of that patient until a bed becomes available. Sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes, sometimes it's an hour. And it's wall time. It's a real problem in Sacramento and other hospitals across the nation, but they're working on that piece. But if Marshall is impacted, whether they, worst case scenario, and I don't speak on their behalf, if they close, or just reduce services, then there's a high probability that more of our ambulances, instead of going to Marshall, will need to go to Sacramento. Well, they already have issues with wall time in Sacramento. And if our rigs are going down there and further impacting that, then there's longer delays getting those back. And I told you we have the 9th unit coming on board because of the call volume on the west slope to maintain that level of service. If we start sending units to Sacramento patients instead of going to Marshall, where fortunately Marshall, we don't experience a wall time issue very often, that just compounds. That 9th unit does nothing. You're going to need 10, 11, 12, however many units to combat that. So it's one of those things where, sir, I agree with you. Like, why now? Why wasn't this? But here we are today. And from an EMS perspective and pre-hospital care and ambulance transport, this is very much on our radar because it could dramatically change how we do day-to-day business in the 911 service in this county if all of our ambulances suddenly go to Sacramento, or 20% of those, or 40%, or whatever that looks like. So that's a real concern of ours. On the fire side, when we came in, and my perception on this, when we got invited in, when Maya reached out and involved, Marshall was already underway on their sales tax initiative working on this. And they were kind of down the path, and I believe what they started to get feedback from, the hospital board and the community was that wildfire and wildfire protection and prevention was one of their concerns. A lot of that's driven by the insurance costs. We're all had these conversations. So we got involved on it, but they were kind of already underway, but they allowed us to come in like, hey, these are the things that really could help the fire service. Because one of the things that the fire service does a really good job at is we keep everything behind the bay doors of the firehouse. When we're strapped for cash, we're cutting and making those hard decisions, you know, we do a really good job of keeping that internal. So that, you know, we're always the good guys out in public, right? One of the things we do a really bad job at, that the cops do a really good job at, is when their budgets get cut, it's simple. You see it on the news, like their budget get cut, fine, we don't go to these calls anymore. We don't do this anymore. This service isn't available anymore. We don't do that. There are no calls right now where somebody's called the fire department, you know, on 911 for, hey, we need an engine, and we've said, no, we don't do that. An engine goes regardless, and whether it goes with 2 people on it, 1 person on 3, I mean, those cuts are real. And you know, I can speak on behalf of our department. When I came into office in 2020, our insurance was $60,000 a year. That's for our vehicles, our liability insurance, our stations, all of that. In 2022, ISO came out and re-rated us. You guys are all familiar with ISO. We went through that whole re-rating process. In August of 23, we got told, hey, you're going from a 4 to a 3, which is a good thing. Only 16% of the departments in the nation are 3 or lower. So we're in the happy dance, right? About a month later, we get notice that our insurance got canceled. We just we got canceled. And we're like, you're canceling our fire insurance, like we are the fire department. we have a fire station within 5 miles of our fire station. We all have like, yes, just renewed, April 1st of this year, just a couple of days ago, 244,000. So in my 10 years of fire chief, which is only 6 years, from 60-something thousand, 244,000. That's a firefighter. I can put a full-time firefighter in an engine for that increase. So we feel the pain.
That's crazy.
And so, you know, that's our investment here, working with fire, working with our officer, all the work that the individual fire said, you know, like we have to address this issue. So having that additional revenue that this could yield for us would go a long way. It'd go a long ways with our ability to enhance our level of service, maintain level of service, all of our costs. I mean, you know, how much time do we have? I mean, the latest thing that's coming out to us, I don't know if you guys have been tracking the PFAS on the turnouts in firefighters, where they found that this material that they protect our firefighters with, if they go in fires, well, it causes cancer. So there's an unfunded mandate coming out, but we have to change all of our turnouts on. Well, that's a tremendous, turnouts are expensive to begin with. And now the manufacturers, the business people, they know, oh, you have to have these. Well, those are a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and those are all those things that just whittle away, we compound those things on top of there that, you know, the fire service, you know, it's hurting for revenue to be able to maintain that service. But, you know, unfortunately on for us, we do really have to keep that inside. But, those are just some of it. I won't chain out the whole thing there. I can go on for days, but.
Okay. Any quick questions for Chief Cordero? Okay. David.
On fire mitigation, I think, Paul, you told me Garden Valley does a lot of work on fire mitigation, but how much of this money will go to fire mitigation, as opposed to fire?
I have a slide on it. Okay. So as we talk, you know, kind of started over what are the issues, what's the sales tax about, what's Marshall's claim on this, then the fire department, and then moving down to us. So in our strategic plan, we had our recommendation number 10, which basically says those that live by grants die by grants. And we have done a great job, thank you, Tamara, on accessing an incredible amount of funding for El Dorado County. But these go up and down, and you see that the priorities going on will shift. We will probably have a big fire season this year, but the idea is that relying totally on grants is not a sustainable way to go. Okay, so a couple years ago, we said, hey, we should look at having a stable form of funding. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while. My unindicted co-conspirator, who I spent a lot of time sitting in a chairlift with, Mr. Charlie Downs, that we had been talking about, hey, how can we get a stable form of funding? And we were using Truckee Fire as a potential model, where they put together a parcel tax within the community to generate a considerable amount of money focused on wildfire prevention. And it passed. It's been an incredibly successful program. It's touted all around the state as a possible model. But Truckee's not El Dorado County. Truckee is mostly second, most of the structures are second, second family homes, things like that. And the mention of taxes are considered to be a communist plot, second only to roundabouts in this country, in this county. But we realized that the lift, in order to get something like that going, was incredibly difficult. It would take an incredible amount of resources. The chances of passage were questionable whether it would be successful in this county. And we've been knocking this around generally sometime between December and May, because that's when we sit in a chairlift together. And then we heard rumors of Marshall doing a program, and then someone to Chief Cordero, they reached out and said, we want to add fire as a component to this entire process. We look at this as being consistent with our strategic plan. And so next slide, please. So I want to be very candid about this, is that they're not just going to give us money. Oh, we don't work that way. What's going to happen is, because this is a citizens run initiative, they can't say the money goes to the Fire Safe Council. What they're going to have to do is the county's going to have to issue a request for proposals. We're going to have to submit a proposal, and the folk singer Phil Oates back in the 60s had a line that said, to the losers go the hang-ups, to the winners go the hangers-up. Because if there's money out there, everyone's going to want a piece of it. So there will be other folks who will be vying for this funding. The initiative is written in such a way that we are probably the most likely candidate, but I do not want to make any claims that this is a guaranteed slam dunk for us. Okay?
I'm sorry, I just want to clear something up here, because initially when the discussion started, it seemed to retrofit the hospitals, and one would think that that would be a one-time investment. But this now sounds like this tax might be in perpetuity.
No, it's 30 years. And and you're right to think that way, right? And what they're looking for is leveraging that 30-year funding so the hospital can get the money now, so they can do the work. For us, we're looking for a long-term investment in wildfire prevention. Okay.
Is the Marshall portion of the equation and the fire portion of the equation, is it under the same request for proposal, or
No.
just ours?
That I'm not sure.
So Paul, let's segue to maybe Maya, if you wouldn't mind, Maya, read, she put something in the chat that maybe she can just read, because she can probably say it better than me. It had a little bit to do with the funding, which we're gonna bring the funding piece up when we're done with the proposed, with the sharing thing as a
Right.
challenge. But maybe Maya, if you could address a little bit of the funding piece just from this perspective.
Sure. Thank you. So a couple of things. First, you cannot name private corporations in sales tax measures, which is why neither Marshall nor the Fire Safe Council are named specifically. The California Supreme Court has held many times that those entities that are described within the language of the ballot can receive the dollars. So there's precedent for getting the dollars, but we still can't be individually named. We described the Fire Safe Council, taking language specifically from your website and have had several conversations with the county about that. In terms of the dollar allocation, the dollars to the 13 fire districts and to the Fire Safe Council would come in the form of annual operating revenue. So the dollars would come in from the state to the county. The county gives the dollars to a third party trustee to be named, a financial institution. That financial institution will make the principal and interest payments on the bonds that Marshall sells for capital, and then return the rest of the dollars to the county to be distributed to the Fire Safe Council and the 13 fire districts. And before anybody panics about dollars being out of our control, because it's a citizens initiative, the language of the ballot text becomes law and cannot be changed by local elected officials or by the state. So those funds cannot be clawed back by the county. They cannot be reallocated for other use. They have to be used as drafted in the language of the ballot text. And the only entity, if you will, that can redirect those funds are the voters. So the voters could vote later to change the use of those dollars, but nobody else can. What would happen in the first couple of years of the bonds, or the sales tax, excuse me, is that Marshall would sell tranches of bonds to cover capital expenditures. So the first year or second year of the sales tax, we might sell, for example, $75 million in bonds. And then the repayment schedule is stretched to the last year of the sales tax, 2057. That keeps the payments lower and allows for more pass-through revenue to the fire districts and the Fire Safe Council. And we've got this charted out, happy to share this with you. All of our sales tax schedules and forecasting was done by Fieldman Rolap. They have done a number of municipal bonds in California, and they're very experienced in this space. We also used a very conservative growth rate for sales tax. Originally, Fieldman Rolap recommended 4.18% growth, and we pushed it down to compress it to 3% to be conservative in our estimates. Marshall is capped at $125 million worth of capital projects. So regardless of how many more dollars come in than are actually forecast, we don't get to borrow more than $125 million. And all of that is repaid over the life of the sales tax. But if the revenue does increase beyond what we forecast, the 13 fire districts and the entity that gets the dollars, who we all hope is Fire Safe Council, would also increase without limit. I hope that's helpful.
So, given our bias, so as a taxpayer in this county, I like the idea that our Fire Safe Council would have to go through a competitive process to access these funds. I know we do amazing work as a mostly volunteer organization, and being out there interacting with the community, I get tons of amazement and feedback that we are able to do all the things that we do currently. And by keeping our access to this potential pot of money on a competitive basis, I think it will keep us on our toes, keep us accountable to what we're doing. And if some other organization comes along that has better processes or better ideas or better whatever, I think they should get the money. But I like the idea that it's going to be competitive. That'll keep us doing our best work.
Yeah, it'll keep us honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul, I'm also reluctant supporter, but I will say that I have signed the petition. I really support the fire side of this, supporting fire. And Marshall, it's my understanding that Marshall is in whole or in part a nonprofit, and the funds actually go into their nonprofit. Is that correct?
It is a nonprofit organization, to the best of my knowledge. Most, unless, like, except for the Humanities and other of this, the United Healthcare, most hospitals are nonprofits.
We don't actually see the dollars, though. That's an important distinction. The dollars go to the third-party trustee, never to Marshall. And they'll go to that third-party trustee strictly for the purposes of repaying the bonds. So we will see the revenue from the sales bonds that we sell, the revenue bonds. But the tax dollars are not passed directly to Marshall. And again, we're capped at 125 million in capital projects.
And as we've seen with other sources of new revenue for other entities, the state, local, county, local governments, other current sources of revenue dry up our funding. In doing this, we put at risk our current sources of funding.
Hold that thought, because on the upsides, downsides, I got a bullet on that one, let's discuss it then, okay? I want to talk about Tahoe Basin for a moment, two basic issues. Excuse me. One is, people would say, what about Barton? And the answer is, Barton was originally supposed to be part of this initiative, but they are moving their acute care facility to Nevada. One of the reasons I'd say they're moving is because of the reason we're having this discussion today. Because Nevada does not have a similar seismic law, and so they have decided not to participate in this. And because of that, the organization that was working on putting this together upped the amount of money going to wildfire prevention. So Barton's loss is our gain, I guess, in some respect. However, there are activities going on in the Tahoe Basin for wildfire prevention, and we will need to be able to address that and support their efforts. And the question came up, the primary work is being done by the Tahoe Fuels and Fire, something, TFFT, whatever it is. So I reached out to them just to establish some linkages, and hopefully an initiative like this will actually increase the linkages with the folks in the Tahoe Basin. But they have a Tahoe Basin centric type activities, but they're part of our county too, and we need to ensure that they are involved, or they are recipients of some of these sales tax. I just want to be very candid about. Any other questions on this slide? Thank you. So the question is how much? They're talking about a range from $13 million to $30 million total. Not for us. And the projections are for year one around 632K, moving up to 1.5 mil, and that again, as Maya indicated, these are conservative estimates. The expectation it will be higher. And one of the things this could be just go to our operating expenses, and those things that we're using for our operating expenses now can be put into more projects. So is it a ton of money in the grand scheme of things? Not necessarily, but boy, it really does put a shot in the arm and give stability. And I'll talk about that. And as Maya indicated, there was a concern, trust but verify. Thank you, Ronald Reagan. That the money might be trying to be clawed back by the board and supervisors because you think the fire departments are hurting. I mean, most people know. So this initiative precludes the money from getting pinched by other folks. Okay, next slide, please. So there are two phases. One is to get it on the ballot. They need, I think, around 13,000 signatures. There's a major effort going on. If you go to the grocery store these days, you're probably getting harassed by people. And that is really the push right now. They're not planning on doing a major campaign during this phase until a little bit later down the road. They'll be doing some work, hitting a lot of the organizations, but not a full campaign until it's closer to election day. The big push right now is to get sufficient signatures to get it on the ballot. This is a citizens run initiative. Rather than a government sponsored initiative, which requires 2/3 vote, this only requires 50% plus one vote in order to be, for passage, sorry. Next slide, please. So upsides, downsides, this is just, I kind of came up with these and from what I know, and I appreciate other folks bringing up their own ideas, but one, it provides a stable non-grant revenue source. In this world, that is significant, okay? It goes more over time, sometimes you get a slug and then it goes down. The anticipation is this will go up. Because we have a transient population, a not insignificant portion of this, and they believe to be almost a third, will be paid by folks that don't live here. People going to Tahoe, people in Tahoe, people going to the wineries, whatever it might be, okay? And the question came up, this potentially reduce our ability to get other grants. And the feeling is that if you can show that you are not relying entirely on grants, often that puts you in a better position. Sometimes I put you in a worse position, say, oh, these people are really hurting. But the fact that you say, no, we're not going away tomorrow, because a lot of organizations, they're looking for money and that is the only thing they have, that puts us to the next echelon. Places like Fire Safe Marin, Santa Cruz, some other counties that do have a tax base, they are often much more successful in getting grants. So, and whether that continues, who knows? It just it enhances our continued viability. I don't think we're going away next year. I don't think we're going away in 5 years. I don't think we're going away in 10 years. But this is something that we know we always have something coming in, at least to cover our operating expenses. Okay? And that means more money can go into the actual projects. Okay? What we do is equally related to what the fire departments are doing. And one of the things that's kind of David asked about what's going on in Garden Valley, some of the fire departments may say, we're gonna create a crew that's trained to wildland firefighting, but they're also, when they're not fighting wildland fires, they're doing vegetation management as one of the options. Okay, because there are no restrictions. Hopefully, using this money, the fire departments won't show up in heavily armed recreational vehicles. And as described, in my discussion with Charlie, is we just didn't have the bandwidth to do this ourselves. This is a major effort. This is, they're probably gonna, total with contributions and Marshall and things like that. This is $1 million operation just to get this passed. And the funds stay local. To me, that's one of the key issues. Okay, so, and these are some of the upsides I came up with, but they're downsides. Okay. Hey, it's as much money as we wanted. Is it ever enough money as you wanted? Right. Sales tax are inherently regressive, meaning it impacts poor people more than it impacts rich people. Okay? Not a progressive tax. And goes to my outlook on life. That's one of the things that makes me concerned. But it's 3/8 of a cent, not that much. And I don't know what that would cost the average person. Ken, you did some research? Yeah. Okay.
It actually comes to, believe it or not, about 14 cents a day that it would cost the average person in the county based on the US Census data as of 2025. So 14 cents a day to get the improved fire services, the emergency services, etc. isn't much. It's definitely something to support in my book.
It's not bad.
Okay, I got a quarter to go for it right now. As they say, taxes in this county are generally not received positive. No one wants to pay taxes, right? But I think, you know, again, the upsides are that money stays local. It's going to help us keep, you know, healthcare. I get my healthcare through that small healthcare system, probably never heard of, called Kaiser Permanente, right? So there are no Kaiser facilities in El Dorado County. But part of the work that I did is I spent years around the country working in rural hospitals, doing disaster and hazard materials emergency response. And I see what happens to communities when they don't have a hospital. Well, they don't do, they don't do chemo, they don't do dialysis, they don't do labor and delivery. It impacts the fabric of the community. And it's potentially controversial. You know, most people love the fire safety council. Okay, we hit we hit the heartstrings on so many positive things, but this is potentially controversial. I don't want to make any, you know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say that it's not going to be there. There are people that are going to come up and say, "Hey, why are you supporting this?" You know, well, basically keep our community from burning down. Other downsides, I'm asking you, what are the downsides should we be discussing? Anything you'd like to add?
Paul, not any downside. Does this 3/8 of a sentence, does it have, is it locked in that it won't escalate over the 30-year period, or are there on-ramps that back it up?
No more. Yeah, it's three.
Done.
Yeah. And one of the reasons is because South Lake Tahoe already has local sales tax and they're about to get maxed out. So it basically precluded them from doing any wiggle room on their own sales tax there. So that's one of the reasons they kept it at 3/8 of a cent. Do you have another question? What's your first name again?
Rich.
Rich, sorry.
So just to clarify then, relative to the activities for the other County Fire Safety Council, their fundraising activities would stay status quo. This would hopefully be incremental.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not stopping. We're gonna, I believe the intent is to leverage this as much as we can.
Well, I want to back up just a minute. When you talked about, an RFP, Fire Safety Council, if we did that, we have to do an RFP. But it would be an RFP for us to get our percentage.
Right.
How long is that good for? Do you have to do that every year? Is it a competition among all the other 501c3s and you do it every year, or is that one time good for 30 years?
It's all. Yeah.
I probably didn't need a mic to say that I'm not exactly sure how that would be, but yes, there would have to be a bid process every time funds were dispersed for the tax money.
But it is possible that the county could create, for instance, a 5-year RFI or RFP, not just an annual. The funds will actually be received by the county twice a year. And I can't imagine a scenario where you'd be doing an RFP every 6 months. So I think that's a discussion that county staff will need to have, is how long of a contract to let, and then what the competitive bidding process would look like.
Okay, given the vagaries of the funding and the money sources for rural hospitals, one side of the question is, if they don't get this money through this method, what are the chances that Marshall goes away? And on the counter side, if this does pass, are they guaranteeing that they will be here the whole 30 years?
I happen to have an 11-foot pole, but I'm still not gonna touch that one. I'll turn it over to Maya.
Come on, Paul. So thank you for the question, and I love that question. Marshall's board of directors and our executive leadership are 100% dedicated to keeping Marshall in the community for the long term, for generations to come, and to remain independent for as long as that makes sense. I'm not dodging the response by saying it that way. The answer is that our goal is independence, but strategic partnerships may make sense in the future, whether that's 5 years or 10 years or 20 years down the line. Marshall cannot guarantee its independence for 30 years. But what I can tell you is that this investment ensures care in El Dorado County for generations to come and allows us to breathe with our operating revenue to reinvest in services that are meaningful for our community. So yes, Marshall will absolutely be able to keep our doors open with these dollars. But remaining independent for 30 years is beyond the scope of this tax measure. Nobody can make that commitment. I can just tell you that that's where my executive and board leadership is in retaining Marshall and retaining our independence for generations.
And Marshall is one of the last of the independents. Alice.
The timing is interesting coming after April 15th yesterday. As I sent off my money yesterday and knowing where it's being spent nowadays, I'm an enthusiastic supporter of this tax because this is where I want my taxes to go, towards local stuff that actually helps my community, that helps in really important things in my community. I'm excited about this tax and I'll be happy to pay.
Thank you. As Tip O'Neill once said, all politics is local. And as they say, and the more down you go on a ballot, the more you directly impact people's lives. And this is one of those circumstances. Janine.
I forgot one question, I'm sorry. At our events that are coming up, can we sign people up on the petitions to put this on the ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna be voting on that, Alice. We wanna make it really clear where the board is on this before we.
I just want to make one point because Paul's mentioned Kaiser a couple of times. I'm going back to my pre-hospital EMS and our paramedic system. So we have a lot of people in this county that have Kaiser, and I'm not an insurance professional by any stretch, but if you have Kaiser insurance, that's where you go when you schedule an appointment with your doctor and type of things like that. But if you live across the street here and you dial 911 because you're having chest pain or pick a thing, that doesn't mean you're going to Kaiser. The ambulances, by their protocol and paramedics, they are going to take you to the closest appropriate facility, which is going to Marshall Hospital. So just because if you are a Kaiser patient insured, that doesn't mean that you're not going to utilize the Marshall because you're a Kaiser insured. If you live in the county, if you have an emergency, or you're going to take you to the closest appropriate hospital, which right now in the generations comes Marshall.
And I have to say, I have spent time with family members in Marshall, because that is the closest point of definitive medical care. Janine.
This may be a question for Maya. I know you guys have a joint cancer program with UC Davis, and does any collaborations with other university hospitals, would that be a benefit to this measure?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't want to take us too far down a rabbit hole, but the answer is yes. And it may not necessarily be with an academic medical center, although, we are always having conversations with not only the local tertiary systems, the Dignities, the Sutter Healths, and of course, our ongoing relationship with UC Davis, in addition to our affiliation with them for our cancer center, which is still our cancer center. They also host our electronic health record. And that's a big chunk of activity between us. So we're always looking for the right strategic partner, and we will continue to do that, but it has to be something that fits and that continues to serve the patients of El Dorado County and not just be something that sucks dollars away to Sacramento or points beyond that. So we are always in the market, but also mindful.
Paul, for you or Maya, I didn't see it necessarily in the PowerPoint, but I understand there's a board will be established. Can you?
Yeah, there is a citizens oversight board, I believe, but again, Maya, very quickly.
Yep, a Citizens Oversight Committee is called for in the ballot language, which, by the way, eldoradoready.org. We'll get you to the website and the full ballot text is there. The Citizens Oversight Committee will be appointed by the Board of Supervisors, but the complexion of that committee is laid out in the ballot text. So it has to include 2 people with fire background, 2 people with healthcare background. There are at-large positions from the community, and I think there's a designation for somebody with specifically finance background that would be meaningful for the work of the Oversight Committee. The Oversight Committee will prepare an annual report to the community of the expenditures from the previous year and offer their opinion about whether or not those funds were used appropriately and accordingly. And I think that helps keep everybody involved in a transparent and thoughtful mode as they're using those dollars.
And I believe, I know that Chucky has that Citizens Oversight Committee too, and it seems to be working out pretty well. Any other downsides? Rich?
I promise this is the last one.
No, keep it, Garden Leonard's gonna be in.
So when we started out this discussion on this, it was mentioned that the dollars were going towards seismic retrofit. Am I to understand these dollars also going to be used at Marshall to improve the level of care independent of the seismic retrofit?
Yes. So the dollars would be allocated to seismic first because that's our looming deadline. But Marshall has facilities all around the western slope of El Dorado County that range in age from 1 year old to 45 and 50 years old. Not just at the hospital, that all need modernization. So this means investments in diagnostic imaging. This means investments in keeping the doors open for clinics that lose money, like our really successful substance abuse and use clinic. So we cannot use these dollars for operations. They have to be used for capital. But by reinvesting in capital, we're stabilizing the health system for the community and then freeing up operational revenue to increase and enhance access for patients.
Very good. Next slide, please. So, there's yes. And reading the room, I think it's fairly positive, but the question is, shall the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council endorse the passage of the initiative? Next slide, please. Question is, what do our bylaws say? Figure that question will come up. And it basically says, influencing legislation. No substantial part of the activities of us shall consist of lobbying or propaganda or otherwise attempting to influence legislation except as provided that the corporation shall not participate or intervene in, including publishing or distributing statements of any political campaign on behalf of any candidate for public office. Now the question is this legislation? That means the legislative body. The answer is no. However, this will become law. We can decide, we can bandy that about, but clearly it's not a substantial part of what we do. So I believe that the bylaws allow us to endorse an initiative such as this. See, that question will come up, so I'll go deal with it head on. Next slide, please. Well, we've already had a lot of discussion, but I think we're getting close to the first ask. Here is, shall we endorse? Now, recognize that that this is for the County Fire Safe Council. Associate Fire Safe Councils can, endorse or not endorse on their own. That's their prerogative. But the question here is the council, which I believe carries a lot of weight in this community. Fact that the council, no, it's in our best self-interest, we all act in our best self-interest, right? And I just want to say personally that, is it perfect? No. Could it be a lot more money? Yes. Could we have done it on our own? Probably not. So that's kind of my take on it, but before I ask for the vote, I just want to make sure that we have a full, open, and frank discussion on any What's up?
Okay, so if the county fire safe council decides one way and another fire safe council, I'm not saying we are, but our entity functions under the 501(c)(3) of the county fire safe council. So if my bunch of hoodlums says, no, we hate it, is that a problem?
I think you guys, you're autonomous bodies, we are the umbrella, but I think we want each of the associate fire safe councils to develop their own personalities and their own organizations to build a sense of community with them. And the fact that you'll be exiled to Lower Slovovia, no, not a problem. But I believe that is your project.
So Paul, could we make sure we're all clear on what endorsement means? And my expectation or thought on understanding is it means obviously there's a ballot measure coming up. And so endorsing now, putting our name on the ballot measure, as an endorser. I assume that means being able to say that we endorse it at public meetings, et cetera. Are there other expectations of what an endorsement means?
I believe on the endorsement side, that's essentially it, that it wouldn't be on the ballot itself, but El Dorado Ready might use it. If questions come up, it might be in part of a press release. We may issue a media release along that, but it basically says that we as an organization support putting on the ballot and the passage of this measure. And then there's the next ask is, well, if we endorse it, what does that mean for us, or what should we do? And that's going to be more of a discussion, and I don't know if we necessarily need to act on that now. But this is kind of the first step. Okay, Ken first, Elizabeth, and then Bob.
Approximately how many signatures have been gathered to get this on the ballot?
Ms. Snyder.
Thank you. So our goal is 13,000. It will take 8,900 valid signatures to qualify with the county. We're very active right now. We've got 7 paid canvassers in the county and a number of volunteers. As of last week, we had something around 8,500 gross signatures. We need 8,900 net. So it's very much a nail biter to get from here to the end of the month. And there were a lot of issues with competition from other petitions over the last few weeks, but we've hammered those out. We have an aggressive crew out there now. But I will say, if this is something that the Fire Safe Council does choose to endorse, a very specific action that would be very helpful is for any and all of you to assist with getting petitions back. And we can talk about that in more detail. So our goal is, like I say, 13,000. However, our validation rate as we're getting the petitions back in is running at about 82%, which means, a good portion of our signatures are clean, valid, legit. And if that percentage holds as we continue to bring in more signatures, then we won't need the full 13,000 to have a good comfort level. We may need something closer to 12 or even 11,000, but it's still a push, and it's an all hands on deck time period.
Elizabeth.
If we endorse, what does that look like then? Does that mean the Fire Safe Council's name logo is being added to, if we get past this first step of getting it all to the ballot, then there's a campaign to raise for, so does that mean we're adding logos and that sort of thing in public endorse this measure, or is that the next step of discussion?
I think that's the next step. As to what
It is, although I want to be clear that an endorsement by its nature is public. That doesn't mean we go out and use your logo without talking to the Fire Safe Council first about how we use it and in which contexts. But an endorsement doesn't do any good if it's behind the curtain. So by its nature, it's a public act.
Okay. Bob.
Yeah, actually, 2 things. So I'm assuming that Colombo Lotus, we have a public meeting on Sunday. that, we could collect signatures beginning Sunday if we endorse this today.
Correct.
And
Although,
who is authorized?
so, anyone over 18 years of age can gather signatures. And there is a video that Eldorado Ready has prepared that basically gives a briefing of what the do's and don'ts are for signature gatherers. So they do ask that if you are going to be circulating petitions, just to sit down at your computer and watch. It's basically saying, you gotta make sure that, it's blue or black ink. And at the end, the gatherer signs something on the back saying, I saw these people, put it down. Nothing really fancy.
Okay, second question, earlier somebody asked about percentages, I don't think that was ever addressed.
It's 4% or 5% for the fire safety council.
5.
5.
Well, I'm talking across the board though, was it 45 for Marsh, 45 for fire?
You want
It's-
that slide?
Yeah, it's in the chat also. But over the life of the sales tax, Fire Safe Council gets a straight 5%. The other allocation is to the 13 fire districts based on the number of staffed engine companies they have. The combined total between the fire districts and the Fire Safe Council starts out at about 50% and then grows to 62% of the total revenue over the life of the sales tax. Marshall's share is 50% at the beginning and declines over time. And that dollar amount represents the principal and interest repayment of the $125 million in capital. So it's about 300 million to the fire districts, about 30 million to the Fire Safe Council, and something less than 300 million to Marshall when you take the $125 million loan and then add interest over the 30 years of the life of the sales tax.
Just to reiterate though,
That's
there's
it.
no
That's
guarantee
the
the
end.
fire safety council gets 5%.
Correct.
That's the end. That's what I'm looking for.
Other questions, comments? Alice?
Just real quick, I'm still confused by the associate council thing, because I would have thought that if we endorse that today, that automatically our associate councils could also do them. But what, based on your answer to you the same, do our individual boards have to also endorse this?
No. But it's someone, if they want to take action on their own, either yea or nay, I'm not stopping them.
This
Well, no, I think they're really
Right
clear,
here?
because it's a good point, Alice, is that, the Eldorado Fire Safe Council is the umbrella, excuse me, the bylaws of the council really are the umbrella bylaws for all of us, including the associate councils. So if you all vote today to do this, it's really embracing it on behalf of everyone. But to Paul's point, it doesn't preclude an associate fire safe council who, at whatever reason, either supports it or doesn't support it, and it's contrary to where this board goes. You can certainly do that as a local associate council action and not endorse. If the county council endorses, it's going to endorse, it passes. So it's just a little bit of nuance, but really this is the umbrella that will, it's saying this is okay to do for all.
I need to share it.
Very good. And again, there's more details in the FAQs. There's the action ballot measure on Eldorado Ready. And Maya is there to answer any questions or to do the stump for any organizations that want to talk about it and how it impacts them. David.
I'll make a motion to endorse it. That doesn't mean no more discussion after second.
Okay, thank you. Second. Okay, Alice is second. Further discussion. Again, we want to have a full, I want to make sure that we really, beat this up as much as possible so that we make informed decisions. Come on, Dan.
I just want to commend whoever put together the website, because I was reading over the FAQs and nearly every question that was answered here today by you is also answered in those FAQs. So that's a good tool to take to your own fire safe councils.
Thank you.
And we have the FAQs up on
Right
the
here.
monitor as well.
So I just, as an organization, so personally, I think this is a good thing, but as an organization, I know, especially in my neck of the woods, us out there in the booties, we get a lot of pushback on anything that looks like government.
Government.
Yep, yeah. And, so I don't know if the board or collectively, if we could think about how to mitigate this potential downside if the fire safety council gets, we're a nonprofit, we're neighbor to neighbor, it's our primary mode of operation. And, I'm hoping there won't be a big blowback, but some days I just don't know where people, how this could be. I don't want this to end up getting in the way of our core mission of connecting with neighbors. So I don't know if there's been thought on how we can navigate that if it becomes an issue, say on social media or, I don't know where these things blow up, but do we have a strategy? Do we have something in place to help mitigate that? That's my one big concern.
And it's a totally valid concern, and I think it's really the next item to discuss. But I think we're gonna order Kevlar BVDs for all of our board members, just so that we're protected out there.
One way to do this, Paul, is for you to go around and do this presentation, perhaps in a different way. I mean, you may want to wear Dockers and a polo in El Dorado Hills, and maybe a Pendleton shirt up in Georgetown. But
Play the people.
If we're gonna endorse this, I think we should really do it at the local level too, and go around and do talks at all the different fire safety council meetings.
I agree, and again, Maya is there as a resource. If you've got an organization, whether it's Sarah or any of your homeowners associations, whatever it might be, she's willing to beat the bushes, and some of the members of the cabinet, 3 of whom are here, that working on this project are there to accompany as appropriate. So I think if there's not more discussion on this topic, I'm just reading the room. Everything I learned about reading body language, I learned from working on an ambulance and tending bar.
We're not sure which one is applying here.
Nor I. But I'm seeing a positive flow. So I think we can probably just do this on a voice or hand vote.
No, we're gonna do a roll call.
You're gonna do a roll call?
I just want to be very comfortable.
Very good.
We have spent an hour and a half on this, but we've never spent that. This is so important for people to make up their own minds. People have raised really good concerns and questions, and while the bylaws, allow for this, when Steve Willis and Pat Dwyer and the folks that really put this stuff together were thinking through this, this is kind of what they built the bylaws to look at, because there was going to be a day where we had to tackle this, and this has been a hard one because you've all brought it up and you've all said it. There are definite political downsides to these things, but at the same time, there's been some very deliberate and factual pieces of information about the benefits. And so what do? If you miss an opportunity, does it come up again, right? Maybe we're not comfortable doing this, and we'll just continue to work through our funding, based on our grant pieces. That's a legitimate decision for you all as well. It just all needed to be out here for you to ask all the questions, and be able to decide for yourselves. But I wanted everybody to be very comfortable, that we have it's a 50 plus 1, vote, and I just want to run through that for the group for the endorsement. So we have a motion on the table, in the second, kind of calling for the question. We don't have any further questions, just double checking online. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our secretary, Angel, to go through the roll call for the board of directors.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Cord. I don't hear a response from Cord.
Yes.
He's online.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. David,
Aye.
Steve,
I thought he said hi.
I don't hear a response from Steve.
He's online as well.
When you get the fire safety council, when you call it, Jenny.
Lake Hills. Not a lot of emojis there. Are we accepting emojis?
Well, I think we need to hear about.
Okay.
I know.
Like circle back.
Circle back then.
Okay, Ken from Logtown.
Abstain, and the reason I want to abstain is because I haven't discussed this with my leadership team, and there's no opportunity to, so. I represent them.
No, understand, yeah. And we did try to have the brown bag a month ago and try to let everybody know this was coming, but I totally understand.
Chris Patterson Ranch. Is Chris online?
No.
No, okay. Bill Serrano? Is Bill online?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we'll circle back. Ernie Grizzly Flat,
Yes.
Bob Columbolotus,
Aye.
Tamara Georgetown Divide,
Yes.
Sherry Goldridge Forest,
Yes.
Paul Greater Cameron Park. Is Paul online?
No.
This is Bill Osgood. I'm sorry, I pushed the wrong button. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain for the same reason was brought up before because we haven't discussed this within my team.
Okay, thank you.
And then Steve Willis just commented and said, hard to hear. I vote yes.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm sorry, I lost track. Paul Greater Cameron Park. Dorothy Camino.
Yes.
Mike Auburn Lake Trails.
Yes.
Alice Oak Hill area.
Yes.
Eric Smud. Is Eric online? Angel Strawberry. Yes. Gary Rancho del Sol.
Yes.
Paul Diamond Springs.
So, yes.
Karen Mosquito.
Yes.
Janet, member at large.
Yes.
Hugh, Texas Hill.
Yes.
Ken, member at large.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to circle back to no one. Well, Paul Gilchrist, is he online?
No.
Okay. So,
No pressure while she tallies it up.
okay, so the results are 18 yes, 0 no, 2 abstain, and 3 are not here to vote. The motion passes.
All right, motion passes, getting a majority. Thank you. So, yeah, Paul.
Well, we've got the next question. So, what do you want to do about it?
So, and Maya made a really good point. So it is public. You've all agreed. So we're lending our name to this initiative, which means, yes, that people are going to speak it. It's going to show up on ballot initiatives. Obviously, you've seen a very good working relationship with Marshall and the team working on this initiative with Paul and the group. So nothing is going to go out there without a discussion about, appropriate use of logos, all of that. But the support piece to me means what we just included was more of a reactive piece. You can use our name. The support piece is more of a, what do we want to do, if anything, proactively to support this, i.e., signing petitions, gathering signatures, there's the, I don't know what actively campaigning, means, but certainly out there, giving presentations. So that's, I think it's a little bit more gray. And to Paul's point, I don't know if we can answer all of the nuts and bolts today. But there's a context there that's really important to me. It could include, providing funding. And I have concerns about things like that. I think those things are all things that you all need to decide. And I don't know that we have to decide those necessarily today, but there may be some things that are needed right away. Like, are we comfortable? Because the questions have been asked, are we comfortable with having a petition gathering or being part of the petition gathering? That to me seems like the most interface thing right now that needs to be.
Yeah, so. First of all. Thank you. I think we had a good discussion. And again, as Ken said, we spent more time on this than any other topic we've done, because we don't want to walk into this, we don't want to feel railroaded, we don't want to feel we're walking into something that we don't know what we're getting into. This is uncharted territory for us. And so I think I appreciate the interaction and the action taken. So the next question is, well, what does that mean? At this point, it's indicated it's now public. We have taken an action as the County Fire Safe Council to support this initiative. The next thing is, well, what are we gonna do about it? They would love to get more signatures. There are, before the end of the meeting, we will have some petitions available, I believe. And if you are interested in taking that to either your committee or fire safe council, whatever it might be, they ask that you go to the Eldorado Ready and just view the video on do's and don'ts of petition gathering. The first half is about petition gathering, and the second half of this video is about when they went up for a field trip to South Lake Tahoe. You can ignore that part. And the question is volunteer. If you're interested in volunteering, they want to see volunteers. If you want as an individual for either yourself or organizations that you're associated with and to endorse, please go on their website and endorse. And then the question was donations, and I agree with Ken. As an organization, I think that's not within our Ken, excuse the expression, to donate funds to this, because we've got our money going to other things for wildfire prevention. But I think it's something that we can bring up in the future. Is there anything else you want to discuss on what our next step or involvements are? Charlie, do you have any thoughts as a member of that cabinet?
I have some petitions, if anybody's. I do have some petitions in my car that I can run out to. So at the end of this meeting, if anybody would like this signed, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Elizabeth.
I'm just thinking, so we have our Sandridge, the council meeting tomorrow night, and I won't be pushing it on folks, but I want to make people at the meeting aware of what this is and kind of give them an overview like you did. And I think that's very helpful, and let them decide on their own. Just thinking one bit of information that would be helpful for me. Sandridge is half of the Pioneer Fire District, half in the Diamond Springs Fire District. Where can I find information about some sense of how much money this initiative would bring to those units? Because I know that's what my people care about. Does Pioneer, is their building gonna fall down around the poor firefighters? Can they afford another engine? Can they get some more turnout? That's sort of
Maya's got
detail.
Maya's got the. So.
Red Maya.
Yeah, sorry, my scroll bar wasn't coming up. So a few things. I want to clarify, the video training for petitions is not on the website. But if anybody were interested, Paul can hand out my email address and my cell phone number at will. And I'm happy to get you both petitions and a link to the training. But it is imperative that anybody that does petitioning has to watch the training video. In terms of the dollar breakdown, also super happy to get that to you. We have a full spreadsheet of which fire districts are anticipated to get how much. And again, it's based on the number of engine companies they had at the date of submission of the ballot text, which was January 5th. So I've got those numbers. I don't have them at the tip of my tongue, but again, happy to answer any questions any of you have by text or email is generally the best way to reach me.
Very good. I think it's time to move.
So what I saw on the last slide, the last PowerPoint slide.
Oh.
What it meant to support and the things that I'm hearing, and I wanted to, and maybe someone else can make the motion, but what I'm seeing is, canvas, petition, speak, and there was one more, minus donation. I think there were 4.
Volunteer.
Or volunteer. So those 4 things, we'll put the slide up. You want, to me, those seem reasonable, and it's all within the context of the questions that everybody's asking. And I think what's gonna be important is and I'm gonna throw Paul down here to help us. We're gonna need consistent point of contact within the Fire Safety Council network, and I hate to say it, it's Paul. Because
I hate this, you say it too.
I thought you might. But yes, you can see, we just want consistent information going out. We don't need to make anything up there. It's all available. It's just a matter of ensuring everybody has it. You know, to Maya's point, there's training that's required to do petition gathering. I think if Paul's willing to be that point of contact for councils that are interested, if the council's not interested in this, that's fine too. For those that are interested in engaging, you know, then we'll just have folks work through Paul. I'm just looking at volunteer, petition gathering, canvassing, and speaking of all things I've heard people ask about today. That seems like a reasonable thing for us to decide today. And then as this goes forward and wherever it ends up, we can make additional decisions if we need to going forward. I don't know if someone wants to, besides me, make a motion to that or.
Would somebody like to make that motion? Mr. Hugh Council in the back. And a second? Got a co-seconding. Elizabeth.
We have a motion and a second to move forward with a level of support that involves volunteer, petition gathering, canvassing, and speaking at events, not approving donations. Coordination will occur through Paul Penn for individual councils or members wishing to participate. Any questions? Okay. I'm gonna ask
Roll call.
roll call vote one more time.
Elizabeth Sandridge,
Yes.
Cord, El Dorado Hills South,
Yes.
David Placerville,
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm not quite sure what I'm saying yes on. Is this everything going through Paul? Is that what the motion is?
The motion is, we as a fire safe council are agreeing that our support is limited to volunteering, petition gathering, canvassing, and speaking at events on behalf of the initiative. And that all of our coordination will occur through Paul Penn to ensure we're having consistent information, sharing and providing appropriate support and direction to the council.
Thank you. I still say yes. Okay.
Steve Lake Hills. I'll come back to Steve, Ken Logtown,
Yes.
Chris Patterson Ranch,
Abstain.
Bill Serrano. I'm sorry, I did not hear Bill's response. I'll come back. Ernie Grizzly Flat,
Yes.
Bob Paloma Lotus.
Yes.
Tamara Georgetown Divide,
Yes.
Sherry Goldbridge Forest,
Yes.
Paul Greater Cameron Park, Dorothy Camino. Yes. Michael Auburn Lake Trails,
Yeah.
Alice Oak Hill Area. Yes. Eric Smud, Angel Strawberry? Yes. Gary Rancho del Sol?
Yes.
Paul Diamond Springs?
No, oh, yes.
Karen Mosquito?
Yes.
Janet, member at large?
Yes.
Hugh, Texas Hill?
Yes.
And member at large?
Yes.
Just going back because I did not hear Bill to give him another chance. Bill, would you like?
Go on.
It
Yes,
looks
Bill
like
Osgood Serrano.
I think he logged off. I don't see him here anymore.
Thank you. One moment, please. Oh, Steve Willis?
No.
Can we hold the conversations down in the back? Sorry, guys, just they can hear us online and.
Okay, so give me a minute.
We've got Soviet style microphones right here.
Hey, you put them in. Just trying them out, making sure they work.
Okay, I'm ready. 18 yes, 1 no, 1 abstain, and 3 did not vote because they're not present. The motion passed.
Right?
And if there's no objection, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna ask Maya to send me the link to the video and how to access petitions. And then I will convey that information to Angel within the next day, that if she can then distribute it to the Fire Safe Council to our distribution list. And that would hopefully simplify and move everything forward. Chuck, is that consistent with what we're talking about?
Because we see we're meeting tomorrow.
Right, yeah, so there are a lot of meetings going on tomorrow, so we'll try to get that out to you post case. And
I am watching Survivor tonight, so it won't happen tonight.
okay, if I get it here this afternoon. Okay. Because otherwise, off the island.
All right.
So just for,
No more.
thank you very much. Give yourselves a hand.
Thank you, Maya, Chief Cordero, and the others that spent a lot of time working with Marley. All right, one secondary new business item, another one, it's not for decision today, but significant information update, and that's on proposed new office location. You know, as you recall, we daylighted this at last month's meeting. We had great conversations with Chris and the team at the museum at our current location. But we, as we discussed, have been in the search of a new site that would meet our needs as we grow as an organization. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Angel for an update.
Thank you, Ken. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to you. Today we're going to discuss the search for the new office space and a progress report. The items that we are looking for in our new home would be an accessible office space, plenty of parking, access to the internet, large conference room, 3 offices within our suite, storage space, and while we currently do not invite the public to our office, in the future, we may want to take that into consideration. So we want it to be a space where we can invite our public. We have seen or visited 5 spaces on Main Street and 2 on Placerville Drive. Now, this adventure has been kind of like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears story. You go to the first location and it's just not big enough. And then you go to the second space and there's no parking. And then when you get to the third one, you can't call anybody or talk to any of your residents. So after taking the items that we thought were important, we have taken one place into serious consideration, and I want to give you the address so you can Google it and drive by it and look at it. And then in a little bit, the treasurer will share with us how we're going to afford this location.
Tax initiative.
Tax initiative, yes. Now, I gave you the items that we've been looking at. If there's something that you have a question on or that you feel that is important that we have, certainly we're gonna have just a little bit of discussion about this, but I wanted you to know what we've already taken into consideration. The address we're looking at is 344 Placerville Drive, Suite 10. And it's across the street from the movie theater is the best way to share about where it's at. And we won't be going to the movies, we'll be doing very busy business the whole time. So I would like to ask you if you have any questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. Alice? Is there plenty of good storage space there so that things can be easily spread out for people to get things? And also, are there no stairs?
We knew you would ask both of those.
So the building is accessible, and that's, out of all the buildings is accessible. When you walk up the stairs to the actual suite, they're like, Janet calls them lady steps, and there are 4 of them. But further down on the side, there is an accessible walkway where you could roll a wagon or a wheelchair or a walker, a gurney, whatever you needed to access the space. Was there a second part or did I get it? Storage. Jessica has offered her office space to be storage. She raised her hand right away and said, "Oh, no, there's plenty of storage." The actual site is 1488 square feet. 1,488 square feet. Elizabeth, you?
Is the space already configured to meet our needs, or do we have to configure it into 3 offices and storage spaces?
It needs to be configured, sort of. There is a large conference room, larger than what we use now, that's already there. We could convert that into 2 office spaces, but I don't really think we want to do that based on current configuration. It has a kitchen area where there would be a refrigerator, microwave, sink, coffee pot, and our own bathroom. We don't have to share with you.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, when you look at that 344 Placerville Drive, the actual suite 10 is a suite that's directly beneath the dentist office. It's a 2-story building, so if you know the building, stairs there's the dentist office. Suite 10 is the one directly below. We're looking at the front of the building, it'd be the left corner, the bottom floor.
So we're not gonna hear a lot of screaming.
Can we pump the nitrous into our office?
Yeah.
The screaming issue is why we got such a good rate, I think. No, you.
Thank you. Chris?
Chris Bain, your current landlord. So anyway, no, we appreciate the amount of effort that's going into this. When you were talking, I was thinking tenant improvements. And then what kind of dollar amount that might be in order to go into a space that you don't currently occupy, that wasn't set up for us. What would we have a budget as to what that might be on moving in?
My understanding is well, let me back up. So apparently when you get into this, you do what's called a letter of intent. A letter of intent. And in that letter of intent, you show the owner what you want the new office space to look like, and he or she decides, is this doable? Is this, because we're looking at maybe a 5-year lease. That's something else that we have to agree to. So the landlord looks at it and says, yeah, I can put in 6 walls and a window and you're gonna be here 5 years. It's perfect, right? So that's why they do it. At this point, there is no cost for the landlord to improve the space to our needs other than whatever we negotiate as the per square foot price. It's all a negotiation with like 25 points on it. so. What else you got? Elizabeth?
Does this mean you'll have like signage out there?
They're asking for signage, yes.
Okay.
And they might even have our logo, uh-huh.
The right one.
So, so we're trying to.
It'll be the right logo.
So we're just trying to give you that, bring you along with the journey, so you have the information, and the team, Angel and Janet, folks have been working hard to put this together and gather. We'll be bringing you back more detail as they have more discussions with this particular landowner, but we just want to make sure you have everything the same.
The mic's off.
Oh, it is, isn't it? There we go. End of the day, we're just trying to give you a pre-look at what the folks are working on. And as things get more refined and have deeper discussions with this particular landowner or in business, then we'll be able to bring some more things back. So again, it's informational. It's another big decision to make. But again, just really trying to bring you along so that everybody has the opportunity to think about it, ask questions. As Angel said, drive by, take a look at it. We've had a lot of different folks with eyes on it. A few others have gone by and helped kind of narrow some of this down. So it's the only reason we're putting it up today. Thank you, Rich. Oh, sorry, Rich.
Probably a naive question, but does the El Dorado Fire Safe Council have a public face, and would that office allow the public at large to visit?
Yes, the public's actually welcome to visit now. They just can't find us down there. Yes, the whole idea is that there'll be signage visible from the street, from the parking lot, and we welcome that. It's actually the way they're proposing to configure the office. It'll have like a reception area where folks can come in and get brochures or get information. Okay. Oh, listen.
I'll stop talking here eventually. Yeah, just as the assessor coordinator, and now that we have more trained assessors, this I think will be really helpful for the growth and evolution of the Fire Safe Council. Now we've got 140, 150 trained assessors. They constantly need to interact to get, like I said, get brochures, get information, pick up this, that, the other, and having a more accessible and visible spot to just be a central hub for the massive amount of work we're doing in our community, I think is going to be great. So as long as Jessica and Carrie, they're the ones that live in the office and deal with the day-to-day deluge that we throw at them. If they're good with this, and Alice has her storage. I'll make it work, but again, thank you guys for doing all this work to do this. I really think this is another huge step for our organization and taking us to the next level. So,
all right, thank you. Enjoy. All right, moving along, no old business on the agenda today. Item 7, executive board report. I think I said enough, so I'm gonna defer to chair's report. So Vice Chair, Dorothy.
For the vice chair, the build out is continuing with the automation for 3 programs right now. Hazardous tree program applications are still not being accepted. Hopefully we have those up and running to accept new applications starting May 1st. That's an informational. And just understand that Jessica is running both systems now and making sure that all the glitches are taken care of on defensible space and chipping. So an extra kudos. Thank you, Jessica, for what you're doing. It's extra work, but she's doing the build out and that's going well. The other thing to remember is as of July 1st, we will no longer have Hugh helping set up or take down for the Board of Supervisors, this Board of Directors meeting. I will need volunteers to be able to help with getting everything you see that's in here is set up always and taken down by us volunteers, mainly by Hugh, especially in the morning. So those of you, I would love to have anybody who's interested to come afterwards and let me know that you'll help with the setup after July 1st, which will miss Hugh. And end of report for that part.
Thank you. So we added parliamentarian to the, because Paul always has something to say, so they make it official.
I think I used up my allotment already, but let you know, we are planning a mid-year social. Sometime probably in July or something along that line, so that we can get together and maybe, do say nasty things about people who are leaving.
At a new location.
It'll probably be a larger location. So just, stay tuned. Karen, I'll be talking to you.
Thank you, Paul. Angel, Secretary report.
Party planner. Wait, where are you going?
Not really sure where she's going right now. That's.
I don't
I
know.
know, I'm terrifying him. I left my chair.
Well,
You're just doing that so she won't be on camera.
I know, I know. She's setting me
There's a
up.
document to put on the screen so I wouldn't be on camera.
Okay, that's my cue.
I am going to talk about elections.
Un momento while I get this shared properly.
So April is the month that we announced the nomination committee for the El Dorado County Board of Directors elections. And it is the chair's honor to appoint the nomination committee. And I will be recommending that the chair appoint myself, Dorothy Fine, and Karen Pullen, with the assistance of our clerk, Carrie, to manage the election process, the balloting, emails, etc. Ken?
Any questions, comments? If this not happen of serving that beyond what Angel has recommended, maybe as the nomination. All right. Hearing and seeing none, I will officially anoint the nomination committee as presented by Angel. Thank you all for being vulnerable.
So I want to clarify a couple things and then we're just going to go through a couple of bullet points here. The executive board is a one-year term, so we will be from 26 to 27. And the 5 positions are chair, vice chair, treasurer, secretary, and parliamentarian. The board of directors is a 2-year term and will be from 26 to 28. And the current 11 board members that are up for election are Hugh Council, Karen Pullen, Sherry Hopp, Mike Connolly, Chris Payne, Angel Ball, Alice Camelo, Dorothy Fine, Paul Penn, Elizabeth Standevens, and Cord Wagner. It would be super helpful if you're planning on running again that you let me know as soon as possible, because you have to accept your nomination if you're going to run again. Let's see. During the May meeting, I will present who has accepted the nominations and also take nominations from the floor. So when the May meeting comes around and you want to do a nomination from the floor, the nominee has to accept that nomination and they would need to do that at that time or in advance in writing to me. Email's fine. On the screen is the bylaws, Article 6, and I just wanted to take a moment to read these. Article 6, Section 1, it is the policy of the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council that each member of the Board of Directors, whether a member of the Executive Board or not, adheres to the following practices of prudent management and act in good faith. A is to attend all board meetings and committee meetings regularly. To follow fundamental management practices such as ensuring appropriate checks and balances where necessary. To utilize existing opportunities for sound management, such as utilizing in-house expertise for guidance rather than contacting outside. To ensure that appropriate level of planning has been included in any project undertaken by the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. To disqualify her or himself from any board decision or action that may be perceived by any reasonable person as self-dealing or might result in a personal gain by that board member. To take no financial profit except as provided for in the bylaws. To adhere to board member code of ethics and register dissents officially to operate in all facets of their everyday life as not to reflect unfavorably upon the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. This completes my introduction to the election process. Does anyone have any questions?
And Angel and I would just like to add, and she pointed out, be sure to let her know if to get reappointed or be nominated to be back on the ballot. And if you choose not to, I would just encourage everybody to go back to your associate council and get another person to participate. We actually don't have representation from all of the fire safe councils on the board of directors. And we did update the bylaws a number of years ago to indicate that every fire safe council, has the opportunity to have a member on the board of directors. So just think about that going forward and reach out to Angel if you have questions or thoughts on that. Okay.
Thank you, Ken. And I will say currently we have 23 board of directors and we have 32 councils, so we do have room for more. Now we're going to talk about Associate Fire Safe Council renewals. Bylaws Article 14. And this is taken exactly from the current bylaws. This happens to be on page 10.
Yes, it looks the same, but it's not.
Each Associate Fire Safe Council is required to renew their Associate Fire Safe Council in June. I am asking you to return your renewals by June 10th. The board meeting is like a week later, and that's when we'll approve them. So I'd like them a week early to make sure they're all correct. This is a great time to have your Associate Fire Safe Council have that discussion of what positions you're going to take in your new council. I mean, as you renew your council, you may want to change. You might have new people coming up. So this is your opportunity to have that discussion with them. Last year, out of 33 councils we had, I had to track down 10. And I don't feel like doing that this year. So if you don't have your application into me by June 10th, that's the cutoff, and y'all know you need to do it. Perfect also time if you're gonna take into your area any new parcels. If you're gonna add an area, this is a perfect time to update your map and make that change. Oh, the certificate of good standing. So we had this discussion at the executive board. I mentioned last month that I've been asked for a certificate of good standing for the Associate Fire Safe Council. And so we're going to take a moment and go through what we as the executive board believe that your conditions of good standing are, and they're right from the bylaws. The Associate Fire Safe Council must meet all of the following requirements in order to be considered for approval by the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council. A is to maintain a governing structure with a minimum of 3 persons. Hold a minimum of 4 public meetings annually. Adopt a separate mission statement or adopt the language from the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council using your council's name. You do need to adopt the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council bylaws. Sign an Associate Fire Safe Council application, agreement, and a conflict of interest statement. Be represented at all El Dorado County Fire Safe Council meetings. Maintain records including meeting agendas, minutes in accordance with the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council records retention policy, and provide an annual financial statement if you have a bank account under a sub-bank account under the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council EIN. So to summarize, well, I think it pretty much lays everything out. Does anybody have any questions about what your responsibilities are for membership in the council? Dave, and then Chris.
So mommy, are you gonna send us the papers we have to sign?
The secretary will send you the paperwork, yes.
I don't want a round of applause. But here's the situation. Patterson Ranch will not be renewing. I've attempted to try to merge with others, in order to make sure that the 900 parcels are represented. I've worked with the Lake Oaks Mobile Home Park related to what we might be able to do associated with their needs. None of this seems to gather any real support or attention. But I've done this now since I believe 2011. And I've been a board member here since about that same time period. So I feel like I understand what we've done or why we're doing it. And I completely support it and appreciate all that are putting all this effort in. But at this point in time, I'm just putting it out there because you're asking me to. And therefore, to your first question that I didn't respond to, the being on the board, then I will not be on the board. I couldn't be on the board because I wouldn't be part of the Associate Fire Safety Council group.
Well, Chris, first of all, I'm surprised, but I appreciate you letting us know, and I know you've done a lot of great work in your community. And maybe that'll turn around with this announcement. Maybe something will change.
I feel I appreciate you doing what you're doing today, because it does give us a little block of time here in order to meet the deadlines of which you've established, which I believe is June.
Right. Right,
So-
and if something miraculous happened with the mobile home park and you guys could get it together by July, we would certainly.
But at this point in time, that's just wanted to give you an acknowledgement.
Well, and I acknowledge your service to the organization. We truly appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll go sit down and make everyone happy. And you can certainly reach out to me if you have any questions.
Thank you, Angel.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you to everyone's patience today, our partners. I know you've been patiently waiting through our business processes today. And last but not least in our business process is our treasurer's report, Janet.
It's still morning, so I can say good morning, everybody. I know this is running long. Attached in your board packet is the monthly treasurer's report. No particular outstanding, interesting item on that. I will say on the grant report, Tamara and I have been working really diligently. We have closed out 4 of the CAL FIRE grants, with a 5th one to be closed out by the end of the month. So you will see next month, hopefully, what the final expenditures were for those grants, and then where we stand in our grant report. Any questions on the monthly treasurer's report?
Hearing no questions, seeing no questions, comments, this is a board action item. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Treasurer's report approved as presented. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you. The second part of the treasurer's report is it is time for us to consider the fiscal year 26-27 budget. So on the screen in front of you and included in the board packet, and again, my apologies for these things going out late, but getting the most current information really puts me up against the board packet date, so I get it to you as soon as I can. But this is the proposed budget for the 26-27 fiscal year in blue. I have retained the executive coordinator funding that was approved by this board. Assuming that sometime during the year, we may make a decision to fill that position. So that money is staying in the budget. If we do not fill it, or when the time until we fill it, that would generate savings for the current year budget. There are really 3 items that show an increase in this budget, and they're highlighted in red. And the first is our contract support item, and that truly is the activity that Tamara is doing for us in our grants management section. She has been doing a lot of work for us this year, so we have increased that from the 62,000 in the current budget to 85,000 in the proposed budget, because there's a lot of activity going on right now, and she's going to be chasing a lot of grants for us as we go forward. The second is in the administrative services line. We have great administrative support in our organization, and we have recognized that through some salary increases. And so we have offered our staff salary increases this year to recognize the work that they do for us. And so that line has gone up in the current year. To the extent that our staff do work that is associated with grants, we do charge their time to grants. So if there are more grants, a lot of Jessica's time goes to grants. All of the time that Carrie is spending on her assessments goes to grants. So this is the portion of their salary that is really for maintaining our organization and doing the staff work to keep our organization running. And then the third big item is under accounting fees, and we've talked about this. We do need to look for a more bookkeeping services. So I have included some funding in here. It's kind of a large jump. We did talk about this a little bit when we talked about our modernization project, that it was going to be a big jump. This is kind of the outside edge of that. I'm hoping it'll be less than that. Don't know exactly what it's going to be at this point, but that is what I'm anticipating is the upper limit. If you can scroll to page 2, we have talked about all of the adjustments that I've talked about, or my assumptions are included in the supporting notes. But if you look at the box that is highlighted in the kind of salmon color, this is the discussion about what might be the cost of moving to a new location. And so we currently pay $750 a month for our rent and storage at the center, and we've had great service there. So again, thank you for all of that. Any rent that we go to is going to be quite more at a market value. And so the space that we're looking at, there is a proposal for $1.55 a square foot, and based on the square footage of it, it would increase our rent accordingly. We're also going to be responsible for heat and air, for internet, a nominal garbage fee, a nominal janitorial fee, and I'm assuming any furniture needs that we have, we can cover in the current year with our savings in the current year. So as we go forward, and when we come back next month with, assuming that we have a proposal from them that we're ready to bring forward for your approval, this would be another area where we would be increasing the budget. I have not included it because you have not taken action on it at this point in time. Any questions on the proposed budget for the current year? Or for the budget year?
Very good.
Hearing none, thank you so much. One reminder, as you go through the election process following up on Angel's report, any change in the officers for your Associate Fire Safe Council, you are required to go to the bank with a letter and change your officers with the bank for your bank account. And all of your officers will have to go in and sign new signature cards. So just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. All right, up to partners reports. ELM, don't see anyone here or online. You see Chief Cooley, Ryan, welcome from CAL FIRE.
Good morning, Brian Cooley from CAL FIRE. The main thing I want to do is thank the council for the defensible face assessor training the last couple of days. CAL FIRE was able to help. I thought the house portion went really well. Also to acknowledge it was a lot of work, not only put it on, but also everybody that participated. Thank you for coming to get educated and bring that information to the community. That's all I really have. If anybody has questions for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Chief Cooley. Office of Wildfire Preparedness and Resilience, Tanya.
I'll try to be as quick as Chief Cooley was. Just a quick update on the El Dorado County Emergency Preparedness Handbook. It is very, very close to being finalized. It has gone through the public outreach group once in depth, and it'll go through another probably review from the public outreach group. But so I wish I could have had it ready for all the May 2nd events, but that's not going to happen. But it will for sure be ready by the fair. We do have a secret stash of workbooks if you guys need them for your events coming up in the next few weeks. You can't take them all, but you can have some of them.
Hide them under a mattress.
Literally a secret stash. And so let us know if you do need some for what you guys have coming up, because I know it's a busy few weekends coming up. Speaking of May 2nd, just a quick update. I know that it was brought up previously. CAL FIRE is starting their Wildfire Preparedness Week with an event here in El Dorado County. So Sacramento CAL FIRE Communications will be here doing a neighbors helping neighbors type of event. And so we're really just showcasing, we've spent the last few weeks trying to identify a resident in the community that needs help. So somebody that's senior, a veteran, disabled, or something like that, or all three of those, or low income, to get some extra help on their defensible space and maybe a little bit of home hardening as well. We've gone out to a few of your areas. We were able to finally identify a resident in Logtown Fire Safe Council. He's 87 years old and he's by himself and he has no family around. He has already once used the assistance program through County Fire Safe Council, but now CAL FIRE and the local Cs and the tribe and some other volunteers in the community will be spending the day at his home doing his defensible space. And it's a very, very good homeowner that we've identified. And at the same time, Logtown Fire Safe Council will be having their Green Waste Day and chipping. And so it really is the epitome of neighbors helping neighbors. And so that will be showcased that day here.
I'm sorry, where is it gonna be?
In Logtown Fire Safe Council, yes, so it's in their Monitor Road area. And lastly, inspection areas. I mentioned at the last meeting that we had chosen all of the inspection areas for the county, CAL FIRE, and local fire districts. They are all up on the mapping tool now, so you can look at those to see if your area is in one. But if it is, we will be reaching out to you because we'll need your help with some outreach on that. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Okay, so I'm gonna make this easy because I think we wore out most of our partners this morning, but I'm gonna, if someone's here and I miss you, please speak up, but I'm gonna dive right down to Courtney Jackson from the RCD.
All right, that was a great discussion. I'm so glad that I was here for that. Thanks for the time. I'll be quick as well. I just wanted to let you know about the Caldor phase. We will be having the contractor selected by mid-May, and that's the hazardous tree removal in the Grizzly Flat main center of the community. So that the work should begin shortly thereafter. We've been doing an inventory on the hazardous trees out there. The Caldor hazardous tree removal along Highway 50 and the cabin tracks has been paused due to weather and soil conditions. So we're hoping that soil conditions will be right to start operations mid-May as well. We have completed successfully 3 projects, fuel reduction projects, Coloma, Lotus, South County, and Spanish Flat. So we are going through some debriefing with our fire safe councils to learn things that were great and things that we can improve. The mosquito EFRT project we should, we've got a contractor that will begin operations starting by the end of the month. And Auburn Lake Trails, we have a contractor that has now been selected and approved. And we are to schedule a kickoff meeting with that contractor and the key team members. So we're hoping that the operations should begin shortly thereafter. And Brian did mention the South Placerville fuel break, but we are vigilantly door knocking all through that project area and getting quite a few right of entries. But if you know that project boundary, which is the north side of Placerville, and you know someone that's in there, please mention to them to look at the project. It's on our website. If they have any questions, please call me. And last, the Sage Mapping Contest award ceremony is on April 21st with all of the kids who have successfully placed in the contest. So it's going to be at the Board of Supervisors and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to come and look at some really great maps and excited kids, it starts at 9 a.m. on the 21st of April. If there's any questions, okay, thanks so much.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Courtney. All right, not seeing any other partners, just one last check to be sure. Okay, we'll move on to program reports, grants and funding. Tamara.
Hi, everyone. It's been an extremely busy month. We've been, as Janet said, closing out 5 CAL FIRE grants this month. Our final reports were due, which requires a lot of work on the part of everybody involved with those. So that was the big thing we're working on this month. Let me just see some updates I wanted to give you. We applied for a CAL FIRE Forest Health grant, a little under $8 million, to do work in the Garden Valley area, implementation work in Garden Valley, maintenance up in that same area on previously treated acreage, and then planning in the Georgetown area. And I just want to point out that this project kind of checked all the boxes already, that Forest Health grant, it's a CAL FIRE Forest Health grant, that the requirements are that the requirements for that grant were that the project be CEQA and NEPA already, that it needed to be, I think, above 800 acres and focused on the forest, health of the forest as the name implies, so not structure protection, but forest health. There are extra points for a maintenance component and extra points for prescribed fire. So we're, able to put all of that into that project. So I think it's going to be pretty competitive. But the reason I'm kind of going through this is an example of, we were able to get that area NEPA and CEQA compliant through previous grants. We looked ahead and we looked at where we wanted to go next, and we used money from previous grants to do CEQA and NEPA on the projects in the future. So that is the process that we want to be doing in all of our planning areas, and why we're holding all of these planning area meetings and getting us up so that we can have these types of projects ready to go in each of our areas. So just wanted to kind of point that out, as this is kind of the only area we could have applied for because of all the things that needed to be in place to make us competitive. But in the future, I hope we have lots of areas where we would be competitive and could be applying. Coming up is the California Fire Safe Council grant. I sent out an email about it yesterday to all the fire safe councils. That's due May 15th. We will be applying a portion of that for the assessor program, some staffing support, and then some yeah, some staffing support, so maybe some advertisement, some supplies for that. But then the rest of it, we would, I invite all of you to submit projects for your fire safe council for $4,000 in the outreach and education realm. And if you have more questions about that, absolutely email me or call me. I'm happy to talk through, or talk to me after this meeting. I'm happy to talk through ideas with you. What would be what would work and fit within the grant. This is the same grant we've had trouble getting paid on. But I think they've gotten their systems figured out. I'm always optimistic. So we currently have this same grant with the California Fire Safe Council that we're finishing up in November. So when you're figuring out your projects, I forgot to put this in the email, but look at it for starting later this year, the end of this year, early 2027. Okay, so there's that. And then I wanted to move on to the CWBP planning area process. All of you should have gotten an email from me, all of the Fire Safe Council chairs would have gotten an email from me about your respective planning area meeting and my request from you for maps of your priority project areas. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because there's been some question, whether people should just send me all the maps that have ever been created for any project in their planning area. And please don't do that. What we want to see are your priority areas, not anywhere work could happen, but where you absolutely want work to happen sooner rather than later. And so I sent directions out about how to send me those maps, so to make it as easy as possible for our CAL FIRE GIS person to create a map layer. But if you can't do it that way, or you don't understand it, call me and I'll either walk you through it, or we can figure out another way for you to get me the maps. And if you have any questions about what constitutes priority areas for you, also call me about that. We had our first meeting, I think it was last week. Time's kind of running together, last Tuesday, in the north. And I think it went really well. I don't know if any fire safe councils that were there might have some comments, but the structure of the meeting was we had all fire safe councils got me their maps, and CAL FIRE created a map layer for each of their priority areas. And then each of the agencies doing field reduction work in the North Planning area had a map layer. So we started out with each agency talking about where either they've recently done work or they're planning work. Then we had each of the fire safe councils kind of present their work. We also had CAL FIRE with their layer of their unit fire plan, kind of where CAL FIRE believes the priority areas should be based on their fire modeling and other inputs. And so it was pretty interesting, I think, to see where everything where everything's already happening. And in fact, I know one fire safe council was talking about an area that they felt was really important for fuel reduction work. And it turned out that an agency was already doing it in that area. So I think we're all, each of these areas, it was the first time I've been involved in the project coordination working group for, since it started. It's the first time we've been able to see all these map layers in one place. So I'm excited to see it in each of the rest of the planning areas. I feel like I came out of it with a really good sense of kind of where we might be able to put, planning and projects in the north. And so we'll look at that for the rest of them. The next meetings are May 5th is the South County, June 2nd is East Planning Area, and June 23rd is the West Planning Area. And I would encourage you to attend ones that, especially if you're on the border, you might want to attend, the one that's next to you as well. And everybody's welcome to attend any of these if you'd like to see how they go or you're just interested. And then final thing I wanted to mention is I'm applying to bring there's an organization called Coalitions in Communities. I can't remember. It's called COCO. They're out of Colorado. We've applied 3 times for their capacity building grant. 3 times we've been rejected. I was at the WUI conference a couple weeks ago, and I met the head of that organization to tell him that they need to fund us. But he suggested that, and I already wanted to do this, that we bring here their community wildfire mitigation best practices workshop. So it's a 2-day training that they present for free. We just have to fill the room with at least 15 people, where they will present best practices for how to engage our community in doing the work that we need them to do. And I know Alice, I think, has wanted to bring this training for several years. So we're looking at doing this training late October or early November. I'll have to see what dates they have available. So I just wanted to put that out there that I'm working on that as well. So I'm curious if any fire safe councils have any comments about, well, first of all, questions, but also comments about the planning area workshop.
That's what I'd like.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Good morning. I followed up after Bob and Mike. Their organizations were very well developed and they had an excellent report. And here I was, the nascent little, cool pilot hill organization. It was a well-organized, well-staged meeting. I got a lot out of it, especially from our partner organizations. There was synergies. I spoke about what we were trying to do. It affects what Ken is trying to do. What Ken's trying to do affects what it's going to go up the hill to what Mike's trying to do, and all this type of thing. And that type of interrelationship is very valuable. So thank you.
Yeah, Cole Otis was there, and I was just really impressed. First of all, there were a ton of speakers from just about every department organization you could think of. And sitting up front table besides Tamara, there was Ken and Chief Hogue and even Tanya. Even. And it was really great. I was the fire state council. I'm surprised. One of our directors, Kathy Soda, who I love, had asked for a particular street be included. And we were, Tamara wanted us to prioritize, and she didn't make the cut. And lo and behold, DOT was there. It surprised me that they got that particular street scheduled for some work. So I didn't know that. And that's kind of stuff you're going to find out. It was really, really done well with so many speakers, and it was on time.
Go ahead, Karen. Oh, Chris.
The Mosquito Fire Safe Council also attended the meeting, and thank you, Tamara, because I struggled with the math part of it, getting it to you, and with your assistance, we were able to get things on there. One of the things that I thought was really beneficial was that it wasn't just about our community, but our neighboring communities, and how, because I've been pushing for that, and how we could all benefit, not just our community, but our neighboring communities, because we do share some boundaries. And it was, again, it was great to have all the agencies there and be able to speak with some of them afterwards, but it was also really nice or it made me feel good to know that we weren't the only ones that had certain concerns about absentee owner lots, maintaining work that was already done. And it was nice to hear that there are some grants going forward looking towards maintaining work that they'd already invested money in to do. So it was great all the way around, and so I appreciate that we were included in it.
Yeah, and I mean, I just want to acknowledge that all the agencies that were there. I mean, it was pretty amazing to have all of them in the room, and we anticipate there'll be you know, as many of them as can will be at all of the meetings. So I think as we've said before, they're all in the room once a month at the project coordination working group meetings, and then they're making this effort to actually come to the fire state councils, you know, come where we are. So it was really impressive. Yeah, Chris.
I wanted to touch base on the earlier comment that you had made about who was the group, the name again of that group that you had submitted multiple times and was rejected multiple times?
Coalitions and collaboration. Yeah, coalitions and collaboratives, they're in Colorado.
So I just wanted to bring this up. I've been in a couple of meetings where it's kind of the same general idea. When you have people coming from the outside, essentially not California, then they bring a lot of information that may not be relevant to California or the way we approach things. I would say the fact that they've rejected us 3 times, in my mind, it could lead to trying to have a better relationship with them. But the idea being is, why have a relation with them? That should be the discussion of the board, I believe, to decide how appropriate it is to bring and invite somebody in. We might be giving them more information about what we do. I'm talking about best management practices. Then they may be able to offer us. So I just wanted to throw that out as a talking piece, see what your response was. Thank you.
Yeah, I think stuff like that is always a learning experience for not just the people who give the workshop, but I mean, not just the people who attend the workshop, but the people who give it. Yeah, Alice, you've taken that training, right?
Yeah, I've been pushing this, Chris, because it's so incredibly good, and they started out in Colorado, and that's their base. They're actually contracted with the Forest Service to have developed a really amazing program, and they have expanded to other areas. Good question, but I'm kind of pretty sure they have done these in California too.
Right. Good questions. Thank you, Tamara. Okay, next up, assistance programs. Jessica.
Sorry. Good afternoon now, everybody. I am the first. Okay, so I gonna dive into the year-to-date report numbers. I just want to say that we have 4 community chipping events scheduled coming up in the next 2 months. I want to just say that it is really exciting to see these chipping events coming to life in the new software system, because I'm able to see the full map of your guys' community and all the parcels. Sierra Springs is next week, and they've got over 40 applications, and it is just a beautiful thing to see. So I just wanted to say that. Then we've got Mosquito coming up, Strawberries scheduling one, and Texas Hill. So it is still an option for you guys. And I can generate reports and maps for you after the chipping has been completed. So call me. All right, year-to-date numbers. So far for the chipping program, we have completed 128 jobs. We've cleared 199 acres. We've chipped 36,008 cubic yards, and we've spent $57,044.26. For defensible space, we have evaluated 106 new parcels. We have cleared 78. Of those 78, we have 16 of them were veterans, 68 were seniors, 24 were low income, and 25 were disabled residents. The average cost is $1,327.62, and we've spent $120,446.08. For hazardous tree, we completed 28 parcels. We've identified 36 new trees. We have cut 104. The average tree cost is $600.66. The average job cost is $2,862.21.
And the total cost we spent this year is $73,452.50. Do I have any questions?
Is the hazard tree removal still, is it open now? Not yet. Okay.
No, we are still currently in the build out stage, as Dorothy had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. And because the build out is taking a little longer than we anticipated, hazardous tree has been pushed out till May 1st.
Yes, one time I thought it was 1 tree per parcel, but we get more than 1 tree per parcel.
Yeah, it just depends how many dead trees you have on your parcel.
Oh, wait, yeah.
I mean, we're trying to shoot for a maximum of 10, as anything more than that is a little ridiculous, but it's a if we can do it, we will use the funds to do as many as we can. Within the 100-foot zone.
Hey, Jessica, the community chipping program, is that like, they set up one location, everybody brings their stuff?
No.
House to house.
So what we've done as like an incentive for the Associate Fire Safe Councils is that we created these community chipping events where Associate Fire Safe Councils can reach out to their community and reserve a designated day. It starts on a Monday, and a contractor will stay out in your Fire Safe Council boundary until all the chipping requests are done. So it kind of prioritizes you above the other requests that come in.
So we could do it as just tell them to be at one particular location, everybody would bring their stuff.
So people do that for the green waste events.
We do.
Yes, the issue is that to process these requests, they need to be attached to a parcel. And then we also have to take the pictures of the piles. So in order for it to process through grants, it needs to be done the right way. Anyone else?
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, training committee, Elizabeth, and I know you're very busy this week.
Yes. Yes, I think our committee's still recuperating. So, yeah, so for those that may not have known, we did our 2-day new assessor training on Monday and Tuesday. And it's a big event. It takes a village. And I just wanted to say thank you to the village that really made this possible. So Dorothy and Karen, first of all, like they were on it with our food and beverages. They made this all possible. The students are expected to have marathon sitting and listening and comprehension skills. And this is just not possible without food, caffeine, and sugar. So thank you guys. We don't want to let them go find food because we know they won't come back. So they provided us great food. We heard nothing but praise for their hospitality there. I have to thank Hugh for all the setup, all the takedowns. So it was 2 days here yesterday. The second day, half the days in the field. This hall is used by other organizations, and the cornhole people had to come in yesterday evening. So poor Hugh had to pack up all the tables, roughly the same setup, all our screens, everything, pack it all up, put it away so the cornhole people could come in. And then he came back this morning and set it all up again, just the way he had just taken it down. So that is huge. Obviously, we've got our instructor cadre. CAL FIRE is a huge presence there, but after we scheduled this meeting, they had an all hands meeting for the second day where we meet their officers in the field to help us train people in the field. And so OWOFR stepped in and offered their 4 inspectors to help us with the in the field section. Our local fire brought in an extra person, pulled them off duty to make sure we had officers in the field to make sure we were all doing this right. Like it really takes a village. It's a bunch of moving parts. We haven't gotten our official feedback back yet from the students, but verbally they were amazed at the training they received, all for free. Some comments, we don't charge them to get this training. We feel like we're putting them through their paces for 2 days. They're volunteering their time. But some were like, we're new councils, we're just getting started. We don't have funds. We wouldn't have had funds to pay for this training. So this is huge. We're force multipliers, getting people out in the community that can then be ambassadors for the message and doing what we do. We're getting known, we had people from North Tahoe Fire that came down to be part of this training, because it's a CAL FIRE sanctioned course, so they get credit for that through CAL FIRE certification and stuff like that. So we've got people coming from all over to join us. So anyway, again, thank you for the grant funding to make this happen, for the board, for all the support. It takes a village. It's not something that one or two people could pull off, so.
Well, huge round of applause for all.
Well, Elizabeth, before you sit down, who were some of those that were trained? It was different this year.
Yeah, so, of the roughly 36 people that I think made it, so all of the folks that are associated with our grant programs, some of the contractors and definitely the evaluators that are going out, they were all in the training. So again, we're all doing the same messaging. So our assessors are trained, they're telling homeowners certain things now. Our evaluators through our grant programs are coming out telling them something different. Yeah. We had OWOPR, their inspectors sat through the program too, also note so that they know what we're telling folks, so that we can make sure we're saying the same things, using similar language and not confusing the public, because that's one thing we found. If the public hears different messages from different people, then they throw up their hands and they don't do anything. So this giving similar messaging is huge. And then there were, I haven't added them up, but 20 to 25 actual volunteer assessors in that class. Nice. So new folks, and a lot from fire state councils that may only have one assessor, or new councils getting formed. So yeah, it'll expand our reach across the county. Any other questions? The one question we get is, why don't we do this? Like, I could make this one this year. When are you doing your next one? It'll be next spring. Mainly because it's a CAL FIRE program. We have to use slides that are provided from CAL FIRE. Very first of the year, CAL FIRE's training their own people. There's a little window in the spring, hopefully, before fire season really kicks off. So we have to kind of work around their annual work cycle. So
I just want to add really quick too, you had space for a couple people, and the Forest Service had asked if they could send people too. So we had 2 people there from the Forest Service. Just really highlights again all the partnerships we have. Everybody wants part of what everybody else is doing, and they're planning on inspecting their tracks, their cabins in the tracks, and then their forest facilities.
Right. Yeah, and it was actually, I had out in the field, having one of the Forest Service people, being able to discuss competently tree health and leaning and stuff was really, having all these different partners in the field with our assessors, talking to homeowners, you bring in so much great knowledge and background that it makes everything we're saying more believable, more real. So, yeah. Yes, Mr. G.
First of all, too, I want to thank, even though I retired from CAL FIRE, so it's really hard for me to thank them for anything, but I do want to thank CAL FIRE. I want to thank Brian and their crew and Jeff. I mean, the first day, I don't know if we had a fire, I don't know if there were any CAL FIRE people left to put any fires out, because they were all here. And all of their assessors were here to help our assessors. I mean, the information we got directly from them was extremely helpful. And even in Sacramento, I mean, the talking back and forth to Sacramento and the update and the slides. So all that stuff's there. The other thing though that nobody mentioned that I noticed, only because my background, we're getting more and more people take this class who are retired fire people. We had a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them in this class yesterday, and I had a chance to pull them off the side and talk to them. And so there's a ton of knowledge out there, and I'm looking at that. In fact, I approached one of them yesterday and said, hey, how about considering becoming part of our instructor cadre, that retired, because they have this background and they have the knowledge and they already have this vast experience. So I'm really pleased to see what's going on. And Elizabeth, I know what it is to put this class together, And I know Elizabeth, I'm surprised that she's not on some kind of medication. Or something. The job she did on this class is just excellent. And then, of course, Karen and Dorothy, I mean, what can I say about that? But anyway, I want to thank Elizabeth for that. And you know, having done this and then backing away from it, it's not always easy to back out of these positions and give it to somebody else. But I'm so happy that Elizabeth has taken what we started and just made it so much better. And her work and what she does with that is just great. So I want to thank her.
Yes, awesome. Thank you on behalf of everyone. Elizabeth?
One more, this is actually for Tanya. So one thing that often happens in these classes, as instructors, we learn, we get some feedback, something from the class. So this I wanted to give to you to bring to your physical space coordination meeting. So one issue somebody brought up were clearance, if there are any recommendations or clearance requirements or guidelines for external to the home battery power systems. Because we have clearance around propane tanks and that sort of thing. So I know there's not an answer right now, but as you go forward with your discussions, find out if we need to make recommendations, because I guess sometimes these battery power stations are being required to be put on the outside of homes and not in garages. So anyway.
Public outreach, Dorothy.
To make this very quick, we have obviously fire safety councils are doing awesome things out with events, but two to highlight, May 1st through the 3rd is also going to be the Home and Garden Show, and we will be represented there. Thanks to Elizabeth and Mount Ockham. Working with that, yes, Terry. May 2nd is going to be the Placerville Wildfire Days, which is down on Midtown Mall. And the fair will be coming up in June, the 18th through the 20th. And I will have a sign up in the back next month for volunteers are totally needed because it's a 4-day event plus setup and tear down at the very end. And those that sign up will probably get their time slots and dates. So early sign up is always encouraged. And
Thank you. Okay, community council reports. Folks reporting on what's happening around the Associated Fire Safety Council network.
Thanks, Dorothy.
I bet, David.
Paul.
See the sign here? So this Saturday we'll be doing a community evacuation exercise with the Sheriff's Office of Emergency Services. They'll be doing door knocking at certain areas. We'll have a town hall meeting at Unimine High School. Hopefully that'll settle one of our annual meetings. And so we're looking forward to this. We worked really hard. A little disappointed that not many people have signed up to actually say, okay, Sheriff, knock on our door. But we've been working it. You'll see signs like this throughout our community. And this week we put little pinwheels on them so it gives their attention once again. I thought it was a brilliant move on some of our folks. And just follow from our discussion earlier, Ernie had asked that we put together a one-pager, which I'll work with Maya on doing. And Maya is on an offsite with her executive team. She's going to get those links to the petitions tomorrow morning, which then I will get to Angel to send out because she's watching Survivor tonight.
Others.
Family.
We'll go to Tamara and then we'll go.
So Tamara Johnston, Georgetown Divide Fire Safe Council. We had our second annual Wildfire Expo on Saturday, and I just wanted to first of all give a shout out to all of the speakers, Elizabeth, Bob, some others, Kit, that we had that were really good, and the agencies who came out, and we also had some vendors for that too. Bob, thank you so much for recording all of the speakers. We'll put that up on our website when he gets that to us. And the main thing I wanted to let everyone know is we had a really great turnout for it, more than 100 people. We don't know exactly, but we ran out of food, which is always a good sign. And one of the things we did differently this time is we spent $100 on Facebook ads. We just did I did a 20 miles from I think Georgetown radius and $100 for a week, which is a ton of Facebook ads in a small area. So it was money very well spent, and I just wanted to give that as a tip that you might want to think about that in terms of trying to get people to your events, because it seemed to have worked.
All right, let's go, Bob, and let's go.
Well, I was actually gonna give a big shout out to Tamara. It was a great event for her and her group. Huge attendance. You have absolutely had one.
Probably.
And one really cool thing that they did that unfortunately I was busy, I didn't get to participate in, but you had a grand prize. And the grand prize was Garden Valley Fire, $2,000 worth of defensible base work to the grand prize winner. So how do you qualify? You've got to go around to each table and get that table to sign off on, and so you turn in this sign off sheet at the end, and you make, you get your card put in the file, and they drew a winner. But the reason I bring this up is I actually had two tables over there, one for Neighborhood Radio Watch and one for Coloma Lotus Fire Safe Council. And I had absolutely no time to spend at either one of those tables, but my folks sitting at those tables were just thrilled. They had a fantastic time. They met a lot of people, but what really got them going was the fact that so many people stopped by the tables. So big shout out to Tamara for that. Also, this Sunday, 3 p.m., Sutter's Middle School, Coloma Lotus will have our public meeting. We're gonna have talk about the voluntary assessor program here in the county that Elizabeth, you run. And I did say mandatory, but now I'm saying non-voluntary.
Now we tried this half softening down.
So Tanya's gonna speak on that. And the last thing I want to mention is another big shout out to Elizabeth, you, Karen, Dorothy for the assessor training. I gotta tell you, Karen has this apple cake. Awesome. And I had taken some very significant public abuse from a particular person in this room, a fairly high-ranking person, for not being an assessor, but now I am.
Takes what it takes.
Never spend this much time at this morning. So I also attended the Georgetown event, and it was a lot of fun. And I would encourage fire safe councils to try and attend as many of their co-council events, because you can learn a lot from each other, share different information. And so it was a rainy day, but it was a fun day, and I think it worked out really well. So thank you. Mosquito Fire Safe Council had our Spring into Action block party. And just so you understand, a block party is, the community is invited, but we refer to it as a block party because of its location, which is a private residence or property. And it keeps it more of it gives a different mindset to our community. It's not another meeting that they have to go to, and they don't feel forced or feel like it's obligatory. So it's a more relaxed environment, and a lot of people, we had over 80 people come to it. It was at my house. So it's a lot of people to hang out on the property, but it's really nice because it's relaxed, and the community has a real neighborly, they get to meet their neighbors, they get to reconnect. And people kept coming up to me saying, even though we had a problem with this person or that person in the past, we don't have it. It's really nice to just engage on a different level. So that was nice. And this is also a reason why Johnny's outreach and promotion a few years ago of neighborly, of being neighborly as part of your preparedness plan has been so effective for our community, for us. The event served, like I said, approximately 80+ people and featured CAL FIRE discussing upcoming inspections in our area and and defensible space. We were fortunate to have Dawn from CAL FIRE, who was our main speaker and is also one of our neighbors. And just on a little note, she started as with CAL FIRE before she became part of CAL FIRE when she applied there as an going around with my husband as an assessor in the community, getting more familiar with that. And now she's, you know, an inspector. So that worked in that state as well. So we were fortunate to have Dawn there as a main speaker. The community had a lot of questions and concerns, and she was, I can't say enough about how engaged she was with the community. And she made sure she had time to speak to all the individuals personally who had questions. And by the time it was over, so much of the fear of the upcoming inspections was diminished to a large degree. So CAL FIRE was instrumental in encouraging our Fire Safe Council assessor program, which was really nice to have them do that. And we introduced our online calendar, which allows our residents to sign up for assessments based on our schedules and theirs online. I wanted to really give a big shout out to our MFPD board chairman, Linnea, and director, Maria, Battalion Chief Foley and Holmski for their support and attendance. It was wonderful to have their support and positive interaction. We have on May 30th, we have an evacuation and wildfire preparedness event at Dyer Lake, featuring the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council OES to speak to the evacuation process and procedures. We were fortunate to have them at a block party a couple years ago with Greg Amos. And again, their engagement was really amazing. We will be introducing our new red flag warning program at that event, and we'll be coordinating with MFPD and their support group to help put that plan into process. We have El Dorado County or El Dorado Forest Service at Smoky Bear coming. Sierra and I believe CAL FIRE and some special activities. We'll be inviting our neighboring departments and communities to participate in any capacity they would like. I'll make sure Carrie has all that information. So sorry it was so long, but
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you very much.
Janine Stiles from Greenstone Country Fire Safe Council. May 12th, we're having Kit Beer Camp out to give a seminar on native plants and fire resistant plants to our neighborhood. We have a lot of people in Greenstone who are master gardeners, so I'm hoping they all attend. I also wanted to make a comment that I'm coming off as chair in the Greenstone Fire Safe Council in November, once I get the Firewise application in for the annual renewal. And I'm not sure where things stand. I don't have any people pounding my door down wanting to be the chair of the council, but this has me concerned, and I'm bringing this up, and I'm sure people in the room feel the same way, is that if the Firewise, is not kept up, these, people will lose their discounts. And so I don't know if anybody has any good ways to incentivize people, but I can't get anybody to take on this chair. And I can't do it forever. So it'll be 4.5 years that I've done that. And I have everything, all mapped out for everybody, so it's, you know, I think it would be a good transition, but anyway, if anybody has any good ideas to get people engaged, I would really appreciate it, and, that's all I have to say.
We have Courtney, then we have Hassan.
Courtney with the Fort Jim Fire Safe Council. I do want to give a shout out to the Wildfire Expo. Tamara, it was way more than 100 people. I want to say about 300. It was busy all day until about 2:30. So I think we learned a lesson from that. But the presentations were full. People were very excited to be there. So great event. Shout out to you. Also, I wanted to shout out to Carrie, who's not here today, but she's been so helpful with my Fire Safe Council and making sure that things are posted and timely, and I really appreciate her. I wanted to let you know about our upcoming general meeting, public meeting at the Davies Family Inn on the 14th. We will have Jacob Poganski, who will be talking about wildfire safety, preparedness, and evacuation. We will also have the California Department of Insurance representative talking about sustainable insurance strategy and 3 proposed bills, as well as safer from wildfires. And last but not least, I wanted to just give you a heads up. We are having our first annual joint barbecue on July 19th with Camino and Rancho del Sol in an effort so that we are not taxing our speakers and the people who want to help us, but we can do it and more efficiently, effectively, hope to gain more community members there. And it's free food. So if you want to come down and get a burger or dog, please do. And we will have a lot of people there, organizations that will be there for information.
What day is it?
It is July 19th. It's going to be at the Davies Family Inn from 1 to 4. It's an open house. We're not having presentations. It's just walk through and pick your poison, which areas you are interested in. Okay, David's coming for his hamburger.
Thank you, Courtney. Hassan.
Hi, Hassan from Sierra Springs. Quick update. I would like to thank Jessica again with all her help in organizing our huge, massive piles of brush that are waiting for Monday. And it sounds like they'll be working in the rain part of next week, but the other thing we coordinated, anyone who wants to consider this, a good thing to do, Jessica suggested it, is have a spot for the contractor to park their chipper. And so we do have a spot, and I believe that'll help out. Also an incentive for the contractor. Again, that starts on Monday. We'll see how long it takes. Second, our May 2nd Green Waste Day, it's becoming routine. We'll have 2 dumpsters in the area. The other things that are going on, the PG&E grant project is moving along, but I don't have any pertinent updates right now. And then finally, I would like to congratulate Tanya for making her debut on national radio. This morning, she was featured in an interview on National Public Radio, and I heard it, and I was all by myself in my kitchen, and I cheered.
I didn't know. I had hair.
Right, Ken.
And from Logtown, first and foremost, I want to thank Tanya for all her work in coordinating this neighbor to neighbor event that we're going to be having in coordination with Green Waste Day. And I also want to thank CAL FIRE. It's phenomenal with what's going on there. And going back to our earlier discussion, I hope there's an opportunity for Tribal Fire to at least get into the piece of pie that we're all working to capture from our increased sales tax. Beyond that, Green Waste Day, last year we filled a large dumpster right to the top with chips. And we got an overweight fee. So this year we have two, same size dumpsters, and we wanna go half full. But that leaves us more room too. So it is what it is. And the plan on the neighbor to neighbor program is to take our neighbors' green waste down to our chipping and put it into our bin. So that's our plan. We're sticking to it, and we're really excited about both events happening together. It's gonna stretch our resources, but that's all good. It's gonna be a great day. Mother Nature cooperates. Thank you.
Can't people do it? Any others? Oh, yeah.
So it's Rich Langan with Toronto Fire Safety Council, and I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially sharing all the information today. It's been very encouraging to us. We're doing our first community where Firewise Fair coming up Monday 16th from 11 to 2. Started planning on this in November, and I'm just really waiting for it to come, but a lot of planning. I also didn't know that apparently May beyond weddings, there seems to be a lot of birthdays, retirements, and competition for resources, so we learned that that was the case, but thank you for those going to be attending. We have 4 speakers coming from EDH Fire, talking about wildfire threats. We have somebody coming from the California Department of Insurance doing a risk modeling talk. Somebody coming from Trucordia, who is an organization that supports independent insurance brokers, that talk about insurance threats at their plan. And then EDSO talking about emergency preparedness. Also, we have 8 different home hardening vendors that are going to be there for us to share the wealth, and master gardeners. So we're trying to hit it from all angles. And I'm sad to say this, to kind of break through the wall of apathy in the community. Really trying to drive interest and letting people understand that there is truly a threat, right? That it's not just a situation, well, that's there, it's never going to happen here. So looking forward to that. Last thing I'll mention is that we also kind of changed our website a little bit. Big kudos to Bill Osgood, who's done many hours of work on that, and it's came out really nice. And we're now Fire Safe Serrano, which that kind of incorporates the Fire Safe Council work as well as the Fire Rescue work. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Rick. There's just an amazing amount of stuff going on. Do I see that video? Oh, okay. Well, and going back to Ken Rogers' point, I will tell you, irrespective of the tax initiative, I participated in a meeting along with Tanya and CAL FIRE with the Dragon Chair last week at Red Hawk. Absolutely wonderful meeting. We were really to the point, kind of how do we coordinate better? How do we participate together on things? And she's very committed and dedicated to really ramping up their game and their participation with us. So look forward to good things coming. Like I said, it was a great meeting. So
we're very fortunate to have them on our town.
we are, and we feel like we're under engaging because maybe we haven't done the right things to reach our hand out to partners. So we wanted to really put all that on the table, and I see all the good things coming. So lastly, public comment. Any public comment before we adjourn for the day?
Hi, my name is Cheryl Leicester, Dr. Cheryl Leicester, that's an academic designation, not an MD. I want to first of all commend all of you for all your time that you take with this. This is a huge commitment from all of you, and it's fabulous. This is my first Fire Safe Council meeting that I've attended, and I'm very impressed. And very coincidentally, for this meeting in particular, that the whole discussion about your referendum about the that came up. I was a Schwarzenegger appointee to a number of statewide committees, one of them being the Geohazards Committee, and we administered the Alquist-Priolo Act. And so I did that for 4 years. So I was pretty interested in what you had to say. I'm not here over that. I'm here because I have something that very much aligns with what the Fire Safe Council does, and this has come up to be part of a federal lawsuit that is currently enacting, and it's not shining very well on El Dorado County at this point, and I'm hoping to get your help and maybe some individual help, but also maybe an endorsement or a amicus brief from the Fire Safe Council. So I live in Outendale, that evacuation zone, not actually in the community, but on about 300 feet from the road that is the only ingress and egress from Outendale. In 2021, I was the district's planning commissioner for El Dorado County when the Caldor fire started. And my property is right on the middle fork of the Cosumnes River, about 10 miles downstream from where the Caldor fire started. So knowing all that, I should also say that I'm also a civil engineer, and I am a OES safety assessor for the safety assessor program for the OES disaster service workers, and have been for more than 20 years. And I was also the readiness chair for the Society of American Military Engineers and the California coordinator for the safety assessors in that program. So this isn't an area that I'm unfamiliar with, and I have lots of experience in it. So what happened to me was that I was a whistleblower against El Dorado County, and I have a whistleblower lawsuit that I filed. A few weeks, 2 weeks after I filed the whistleblower lawsuit, the county stopped all my permitting process on a combined project for an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, that included a fire suppression system. And it was a pretty heavy duty fire suppression system on the property. That was in 2021, and they have not allowed me to go forward with my fire suppression, powering the fire suppression system since then. And since then I've had a fire, and it burned down my shed and a carport and about $150,000 worth of personal property in addition. My property is particularly at risk, and I am disabled, if anybody didn't notice. But so I am a vulnerable member of the population myself. But my property is particularly important to the community of Outendale because I have the easement for the EID water withdrawal pumps on my property that come out from the pond that backs up behind my dam. And if my property were to lose the fire, basically lose the firefight, all of the water suppression ability for Outendale would also go away. And so that makes my property more important than just my issue of not getting my fire suppression system fired up. For the fire that we had, I could have had water on that fire 20 minutes earlier, because of the time it took for the fire department to get there and get set up with water. So that 20 minutes made a large difference. We were able to keep it knocked down from the house, my house, and knocked down from climbing the hill towards Outendale Road.
So if I could just, we're over 3 minutes, so if you could just help wrap this up.
Yeah, so at any rate, that's the background for it. And you must know that the hazard mitigation study identified the Outendale area as one of the top hazard evacuation areas in the county. And so what has happened is I've asked repeatedly for the Board of Supervisors to step in over the Director of Planning and Building, who has stopped my permit from being mine. I've just asked for just an electrical inspection for the meter so that my fire suppression system can be powered. And they have denied it repeatedly, most recently in February. And it's a ministerial permit. It's a life safety matter for accommodation for a disabled person. It's completely illegal that they're denying that inspection, and it's made it to the federal court case. And so I'm asking, first of all, just if anybody knows anybody who would be willing to help me make the case to the county, because I've gone through the official, methods of trying to get somebody to help. But this definitely does align with your fire safe council to protect people, the communities and property. And your board of supervisors is not doing that. I would hope that you would have an interest in just writing a letter to the board of supervisors so we can take it out of the case. If we can take it out of the, out of this federal case, then we don't have to talk about it on the federal level and give all that bad publicity to El Dorado County.
Thank you.
And so that's what I'm asking for somebody.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other comments? Oh, sorry, Alice.
Okay, so as a member of the California Native Plant Society's statewide wildfire community, I wanted to commend CAL FIRE for in their grant and also commend Emmer for including it in the grant, both for Spread Fire, which we're really excited to see you're doing, and also that it includes maintenance. Thank you.
Okay, good to the order, no brown bag session today, that probably put us over the edge, so thank you. For being dark this month, Angel, and we look forward to that again next month. And with that, next meeting is May 20th. Again, thank you all, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.